We grew up on that classic Disney formula. The princess suffers, the charming prince saves the day with a kiss, and the happily ever after credits roll. It's beautiful, it works, but it always leaves one lingering question. What happens when the magic runs out? That's exactly the gap Once Upon a Time stepped into to build its empire. The premise here is brilliant because it flips everything we know on its head. Instead of perfect endings, the series begins with a bold twist. The evil queen won, and her curse wasn't death, it was something far worse. She condemned the heroes to live in our real world, stripped of their memories, stuck in the daily grind of a small town in Maine. What unfolds from there is a wild blend of fairy tale fantasy and primetime soap opera. We get Snow White as a school teacher, Captain Hook as a heartthrob, and a family tree so tangled it makes Game of Thrones look like child's play. It's cheesy, it's nostalgic, and it's full of heart. Today, we're diving back into this beautiful madness to remember how Storybrooke captured an entire generation. In a fairy tale kingdom, everything looks picture perfect. Prince Charming wakes Snow White with a kiss, and the wedding is set. But the party ends when the evil queen crashes the scene, in true soap opera villain style, and casts a curse on everyone. They are all going to suffer and lose their happy endings.
Victory. I shall destroy your happiness, if it is the last thing I do.
Pregnant, Snow runs to the kingdom's biggest gossip, Rumpelstiltskin, who reveals the prophecy. The curse will send everyone to a place with absolutely no magic, but her daughter Emma will return on her 28th birthday to save the day. Geppetto and Pinocchio build a wardrobe that acts as an escape pod, and on the day baby Emma is born, the chaos begins. Charming is mortally wounded, but manages to place his daughter in the magic wardrobe before passing out. The queen has the last laugh as a purple smoke swallows everything. Cut to Boston. Emma Swan is a tough-as-nails bounty hunter, basically the Jessica Jones of the Disney universe. A 10-year-old kid named Henry knocks on her door and drops a bomb. He's the son she gave up for adoption. He convinces her to take him back to Storybrooke, a small town where, according to him, everyone is a fairy tale character with amnesia. Mayor Regina is the evil queen. The teacher, Mary Margaret, is Snow White, and Mr. Gold is Rumple. Emma thinks the kid has watched too many movies, but decides to stay after crashing her car. The moment she arrives, the town clock, frozen for decades, starts ticking again. The game has changed. Regina notices some pages are missing from Henry's book and starts pressuring the boy, all while planning how to kick Emma out of town. Henry launches Operation Cobra, trying to convince his biological mother that she is the savior. But Emma just sees a kid with an overactive imagination. In a trap set by Regina, Emma ends up arrested, and the mayor uses this to try and drive a wedge between mother and son. Fed up, Emma invades Regina's backyard and destroys her apple tree with a chainsaw. Now it's personal.
You come after me one more time, I'm coming back for the rest of this tree. Because, sister, you have no idea what I am capable of.
Regina arranges a fate truce, ensuring Henry hears Emma say the curse is crazy. The boy is devastated, but Mary Margaret gives Emma a nudge, and she apologizes to Henry, promising to join the game. She'll pretend she doesn't believe in anything to fool the queen. In the past, the evil queen attempts to cast the curse, but fails. Rumpelstiltskin explains the macabre rule. For the magic to work, she needs the heart of the thing she loves most. In a brutal act, she rips out the heart of her own father, the first Henry, and the curse is activated. Back in Storybrooke, Mr. Gold, with that smirk of someone who knows everything, offers to help Regina get rid of Emma and drops a bombshell. He was the one who procured Henry for her adoption. The web of fate is entirely in his hands. In the Enchanted Forest, Prince Charming gets a surprise. He's robbed by a hooded bandit who even steals his mother's wedding ring, and the thief is none other than Snow White. He hunts her down, traps her, and the two end up teaming up to recover the ring. Amidst the confusion, with the queen's henchmen on their tail and a fight with trolls, there's a total rom-com vibe. They part ways, but the spark has already been lit. In Storybrooke, Mary Margaret tries to go out with Dr. Whale, who is only interested in Ruby. Disillusioned, she reads stories to a coma patient, John Doe. Suddenly, his hand squeezes hers. A miracle?
No matter how they were separated, they would always...
Dr. Whale, a massive snitch, alerts Regina immediately. The patient disappears from the hospital and the town panics. Henry, acting like a fairy tale GPS, leads Emma and Mary Margaret to the town bridge, where they find the lost man. Back at the hospital, Regina shows up with a woman named Catherine and a rehearsed story. The patient is David Nolan and Catherine is his wife. Mary Margaret is crushed. The convenience is too suspicious for Emma, who agrees to move in with Mary, forming an alliance against the mayor. The Cinderella story here is much darker. The fairy godmother barely shows up before Rumpelstiltskin turns her into dust, steals her wand, and offers Cinderella a contract, a night at the ball in exchange for her firstborn. Months later, married to Prince Thomas, Rumple appears to collect the debt. Desperate, she tries to trick him with a trap, but all magic comes with a price. Prince Thomas simply vanishes. In Storybrooke, Ashley, a pregnant waitress, is the modern version of Cinderella. Inspired by Emma's attitude, she breaks into Mr. Gold's shop to steal her contract, but ends up knocking the guy out. Gold hires Emma to find the fugitive. Emma finds Ashley at the town line with a broken down car, a Storybrooke classic, and ends up delivering the baby. Gold shows up to claim the child, but Emma negotiates. The baby stays, and she now owes him a favor.
What do you want?
Oh, I don't know just yet. You'll owe me a favor.
Deal.
With the situation resolved, Emma accepts the position of deputy sheriff. The camera cuts, and we discover Sheriff Graham coming out of the shower at Regina's house. The drama in Storybrooke is full of unexpected connections. Before being a talking cricket, Jiminy was a poor guy trapped in a con artist scheme with his parents. Tired of being a swindler, he asks Rumpelstiltskin for a potion to get free of them, but his parents switch the vials, and the potion ends up turning an innocent couple into wooden puppets. Devastated, Jiminy asks the Blue Fairy for a chance to make things right, and she turns him into a cricket to be the conscience of a little boy who, in the future, would become Geppetto. In Storybrooke, an explosion in a mine opens a mysterious crater. Regina finds a glass shard from Snow White's coffin and blackmails Archie, the town therapist. Either he cures Henry of believing in fairy tales, or he loses his job. Archie caves, hurts Henry's feelings, and the boy runs off to prove the mine is evidence he's right. Both get trapped in a cave-in, but Emma rescues them. The scare gives Archie courage, and he finally stands up to Regina, promising to expose what a terrible mother she is if she continues terrorizing the boy. Alone, the mayor throws the glass shard into the abyss, where it fits perfectly into Snow White's coffin, buried there all along. David doesn't remember anything, but he only has eyes for Mary Margaret, to the despair of his wife, Catherine. He flees a party and confesses his love for Mary, leaving her confused and torn. Regina, who seems to have cameras all over town, threatens the teacher to stay away. David sets up a meeting at the bridge, but the mayor sabotages everything, giving him a fake address. David ends up at Mr. Gold's shop, where a windmill triggers his lost memories. When he finally finds Mary Margaret, he drops a bomb. He's going to try to make it work with Catherine.
Feelings. I don't quite understand.
You're going back to her.
It's the right thing to do.
She is devastated. Emma, meanwhile, catches Sheriff Graham leaving Regina's house and realizes the mayor has everyone under her thumb. In the past, we discovered that the Prince Charming we know was actually a shepherd. His twin brother, the real prince, died, and Rumpelstiltskin arranged the swap so King George wouldn't lose the throne. Forced to assume another identity and marry Princess Abigail, our fake prince carries his mother's ring of true love in his pocket and a conflicted heart until he meets a certain thief on the road. Sheriff Graham feels an emptiness he can't explain. A kiss from Emma awakens a wolf in his memory, and strange dreams begin to torment him. Even Mr. Gold drops a hint: dreams are just memories in disguise. Henry opens the book and reveals the truth. Graham is the huntsman, the guy who disobeyed the evil queen and spared Snow White. As punishment, the queen ripped out his heart, turning him into her emotionless puppet. That's why he can't feel anything. Guided by a real wolf, Graham and Emma reach the cemetery and find Regina. The tension explodes. Later, Emma and Graham kiss again, and this time, it's for real. His memories come flooding back, but at that exact instant, Regina goes to her vault of hearts, grabs Graham's, and crushes it into dust. In Emma's arms, he thanks her, says he remembers everything, and dies. The curse takes no prisoners when someone dares to remember. Emma just lost the first person she truly connected with in town. The war just got serious. With Graham's death, the sheriff position is vacant. Mr. Gold, playing 4D chess as always, sees Emma as the perfect pawn and forces an election. Regina launches her lackey, Sidney, as a rival candidate. Gold then stages a massive theatrical performance. He sets fire to the town hall, knowing Emma, with her hero complex, will save Regina and become the town darling. When Emma discovers the setup, she flips the script. Instead of using the dirt on Sidney, she exposes the truth at the debate, says she'd rather lose playing fair, and ends up winning the election. Her honesty wins over the town. Regina is furious, and Gold smiles, satisfied. That courage was exactly what he wanted everyone to see. And of course, now Emma has to return the favor.
Now that you're sheriff,
I'm sure we'll find some way for you to pay back what you owe me.
In the past, we see the origin of Rumpelstiltskin. He was a cowardly peasant, but to stop his son Balefire from being taken to the Ogre Wars, he steals the powers of the Dark One. Rumpel kills him, becomes the new Dark One, and saves his son, but pays a steep price. Bay becomes afraid of the monster his father has become. Henry befriends two kids, Ava and Nicholas, but they use him to shoplift from a store. When Emma discovers the siblings live alone, she promises to help them find their father, who abandoned them. The only clue is a compass. Mr. Gold, suspiciously helpful, finds the father, a mechanic named Michael Tillman. He refuses to take responsibility, but Emma, who knows all about abandonment, delivers a powerful speech that convinces him to step up. In the Enchanted Forest, Ava and Nicholas are Hansel and Gretel. The evil queen sends them to the blind witch's house to steal a poisoned apple. The rule is clear, don't eat anything. But Hansel can't resist a cupcake. The witch wakes up, and the two shove her into the oven. The queen recovers the apple and offers the siblings a home, which they refuse. She then reveals that their father is her prisoner. Back in Storybrooke, a mysterious biker crosses the town line, something that should be impossible. The rules of the game are about to change. Snow White is determined to rip Charming out of her heart. She seeks out Rumpelstiltskin for a potion of forgetfulness because, for her, love has become a disease. Meanwhile, Charming sends a carrier pigeon with an escape plan. The letter arrives just as she is about to drink the potion. Snow rushes to the castle, but is arrested. In the dungeon, King George blackmails her. Either she tells Charming she doesn't love him, or he dies. To save him, she lies. Devastated, Charming gives up on everything, and Snow, with a broken heart, finally drinks the potion. Love is gone. In Storybrooke, the mysterious biker introduces himself as August, a writer. Mary Margaret and David can no longer avoid their feelings. A chance encounter in the woods ends with them kissing passionately in the rain. The chemistry is undeniable, even with the shadow of Catherine's possible pregnancy looming over them. And from the shadows, Regina watches it all with a satisfied smile. She loves it when her pieces move exactly as planned. The story of the Genie of the Lamp is pure tragedy. Freed by a kind king, he falls in love with the queen, the king's wife. Manipulated by her, the genie uses a poison to kill the king, believing they can be together. Too late. He realizes he was just a pawn in her game. Devastated, he uses his last wish to be by her side forever, looking at her face, and is transformed into the magic mirror, trapped for eternity. In Storybrooke, Sydney, the fired reporter, teams up with Emma to expose Regina's corruption. They investigate an alleged embezzlement of funds, but it's all a trap. Emma accuses Regina in public, only to discover the money was for building a new playground for the children. Humiliated, Emma realizes she was played. In the end, we see Regina congratulating her accomplice, Sydney, who set it all up from the start to gain Emma's trust. And Henry's book, it vanished, and is now in the hands of August, the biker. We meet the story of Rumpelstiltskin and Belle. To save her kingdom, her father hands her over as a servant to the Beast.
Oh, congratulations on your little war.
In the castle, they fall in love. A true love's kiss begins to break Rumpel's curse, but he freaks out, thinking it's a plot by the queen, and kicks her out. Later, the queen lies, saying Belle killed herself because she couldn't bear living without him. Rumpel is devastated, keeping only a chipped teacup as a memento. In Storybrooke, Mr. Gold goes to collect a debt from the town florist, who is Belle's father. Gold's house is robbed, and he knows it was the florist. He kidnaps and beats him, and Emma arrests Gold. In the cell, Regina visits him. He calls her Your Majesty, confirming they both remember everything. She then returns what was stolen, the chipped teacup. The final scene is a gut punch. In a secret psychiatric ward beneath the hospital, Regina visits a prisoner locked away for 28 years. It's Belle, alive and imprisoned the whole time. David finally chooses Mary Margaret and decides to break up with Catherine, but when the moment comes, he lies about the reason. Regina, the Queen of Malice, shows Catherine photos of the two together. The humiliation is public. Catherine slaps Mary Margaret in the face in front of the school, and the whole town turns against the teacher, spray painting "Tramp" on her car. Hurt by the toxicity of the situation, Mary Margaret breaks up with David. Catherine decides to leave Storybrooke alone, but her car is found abandoned on the road, and she has disappeared. Meanwhile, August, the mysterious writer, takes Emma to a magic well and makes Henry's book reappear, raising even more suspicions about who he really is. The adultery plot has just turned into a missing person case, and all the the clues seem to have been planted by the mayor. We learn the story of Grumpy. Before being the grumpiest dwarf in the kingdom, he was dreamy and fell in love with a fairy named Nova. They planned to run away together, but the blue fairy convinced him that if he did, he would be destroying her dream of becoming a fairy godmother. To not clip his beloved's wings, Dreamy gave up on love, broke his enchanted pickaxe, and became the Grumpy we know.
It's Grumpy now.
In Storybrooke, Leroy, the town's Grumpy, falls for Sister Astrid, a clumsy nun. To help her pay the convent's rent, he comes up with a brilliant plan. He cuts the power to the entire town during a festival, forcing everyone to buy the candles he was selling. He becomes the hero of the day, and slowly, the tide begins to turn for Mary Margaret, who continues to be the town pariah. Meanwhile, Emma's investigation into Catherine's disappearance leads to a new suspect, David, whose alibi is full of holes. The Red Riding Hood story here is very different. She is the wolf. Terrorizing her own village unknowingly, she and Snow White decide to hunt the monster. Red thinks her boyfriend Peter is the werewolf and ties him up to protect him, but her grandmother reveals the terrible truth. The curse runs in the family. They rush to warn Peter, but it's too late. Under the full moon, Red transforms and devours her own boyfriend. Only the magical Red Hood can turn her back to normal. In Storybrooke, Ruby, the town's Red, quits the diner and becomes Emma's assistant. Using her sharp instincts, she finds David passed out in the woods, and later discovers a box buried near the bridge. Inside the box, a human heart. The shock is too much for Ruby, who goes back to working with her grandmother. The forensic analysis drops a bombshell. The fingerprints on the heart belong to Mary Margaret. The trap for Snow White is set. In the enchanted forest, Snow White, with her memory erased by the potion, is bitter and decides to kill the queen. Rumpelstiltskin gives her a magic bow to ensure the shot. Charming finds her and tries to break the spell with a kiss, but it doesn't work.
I told you, I will always find you.
He doesn't give up and throws himself in front of the arrow meant for the queen. His sacrifice touches her deeply. A new kiss happens, and this time, the real Snow White returns. But Charming is captured by the guards. In Storybrooke, Mary Margaret is arrested by Emma under Regina's victorious gaze. Evidence against her starts appearing out of nowhere. A hunting knife in her apartment, a mysterious key in her cell. David, under hypnosis, has a false memory flash planted by Regina and starts doubting Mary. Hurt, she kicks him out. When Emma returns to the station, she finds the cell empty. With the help of the mysterious key, Mary Margaret has escaped and is now a fugitive from justice. Regina's plan is working perfectly. Emma barely has time to process Mary Margaret's escape before she almost runs over a weird guy on the road, Jefferson. He invites her to his mansion for tea, but it was a trap. Emma wakes up tied up, and Mary Margaret is there too. Jefferson, the Mad Hatter, reveals he is another victim of the curse, but with a cruel detail. He remembers everything. Trapped in that house for 28 years, he is tortured by the memory of his daughter who lives in town without recognizing him. He demands that Emma, the savior, use her magic to make a magic hat work so he can go home. Emma thinks he's crazy but understands the pain of being separated from a child. At the first chance, she fights him and with Mary's help, knocks him out a window. When they look down, only his hat is on the ground. Mary Margaret decides to turn herself in, and Emma, disturbed, picks up Henry's book. There is the drawing of Jefferson with his daughter, identical to the two of them. For the first time, Emma's disbelief is truly shaken. In court, things look bad for Mary Margaret, with Regina and Mr. Gold manipulating everything, and the prosecutor being none other than King George. A conviction seems certain. Emma and August find a broken shovel in Regina's garage, the possible murder weapon. But when they return with a warrant, the shovel is gone and replaced by a new one. Regina was one step ahead because she had bugged Emma's office with Sydney's help. The game seemed lost until Ruby finds Catherine wandering in an alley, alive, dirty, and with no memory. The murder case evaporates, but the most important part is the flashback. We see the origin of Regina's hatred. As a young woman, she loved Daniel, the stable boy. A young Snow White accidentally tells Regina's mother, the terrible Cora, the secret. On the night of their escape, Cora confronts the couple, rips out Daniel's heart, and crushes it in front of her daughter, saying, "Love is weakness."
You have to trust me, Regina. I know best. Love is weakness, Regina.
It is in that moment that the Regina we knew dies, and the evil queen is born, fueled by a grief that never ended. In the enchanted forest, Rumpelstiltskin is already the beast with scaly skin, terrorizing everyone and pushing away his son, Balefire. Desperate, Bay gets a magic being to take them to a land without magic. The portal opens, but at the edge of the abyss, Rumpel hesitates. Afraid of losing his powers, he lets go of his son's hand, who is sucked into the portal. In that very second, regret hits hard. From then on, Rumpel's only goal becomes creating a curse that will take him to his lost son. In Storybrooke, August is literally dying, his body starting to turn into wood. He tries to trick Mr. Gold, pretending to be Balefire to get help, but Gold doesn't fall for the trap. August then reveals his true desperation. He needs Emma to believe in the curse so that he and everyone else can be saved. Meanwhile, Emma, tired of Regina's manipulations, declares open war. She is going to fight for custody of Henry, whatever the cost. The truth about Pinocchio comes out. Geppetto only agreed to build the magic wardrobe if Pinocchio could go too. His mission was to protect baby Emma in our world and ensure she believed the prophecy at 28. But upon arriving here, the wooden boy chose freedom and abandoned his mission, letting Emma grow up alone in foster care. In Storybrooke, August, in a last-ditch effort, reveals who he is to Emma, showing her his leg turning into wood. But Emma's denial is a brick wall. She simply can't see it, can't believe it. Worn out and hopeless, she decides the only solution is to run. She grabs Henry and speeds out of Storybrooke, abandoning her destiny. August, defeated and fully transforming, seeks out Marco, his Geppetto, for a final redemption. The savior turned her back on the town that depended on her, and time is running out. In the past, Prince Charming has his head on the guillotine when, at the last second, the evil queen appears out of nowhere and turns the blade into water. But it's not out of kindness, it's pure strategy. She pays King George and takes the prince away, intending to use Charming as bait to lure Snow White. Snow, of course, doesn't think twice. Together with the dwarves in red, she hatches a rescue plan, even with everyone warning her it's a trap. She storms the castle, reaches the cell, and nothing. Charming isn't there. Instead, a magic mirror shows the queen, who proposes a meeting. Just the two of them. They meet where Daniel, the queen's great love, died. Regina throws all her pain and guilt in Snow's face, and then reveals the murder weapon, a poisoned apple. The deal is diabolical. If Snow eats the apple, she falls into an eternal sleep. But Charming lives. If she refuses, he dies. Left with no choice, Snow bites the apple and collapses. The fruit rolls across the floor and, as if a glitch in the Matrix opened up, gets sucked into a portal. In Storybrooke, Regina dreams the whole town, led by Emma and Henry, wants to execute her. When she wakes up, she discovers Henry has actually disappeared. Operation Cobra is falling apart. August is literally turning back into a wooden puppet, and Regina's apple tree starts dying, a sign the curse is weakening. Desperate, she seeks out the Hatter, who with his crazy hat manages to open a portal. Regina uses Daniel's ring to boost the magic and manages to pull back the same apple. Snow White just bit on the other side. She turns the fruit into an apple turnover and offers it to Emma, but Henry, to prove the curse is real, takes a bite. Within seconds, the kid collapses in Emma's arms, who finally understands the gravity of the situation. The penny has dropped. In the past, Prince Charming looks like an action movie fugitive, running from the evil queen's guards. When capture is certain, the huntsman appears and clears the path for him. Annoyed, the queen traps the prince in an infinite forest, like a maze with no exit. That's when Rumpelstiltskin appears with that smirk of someone up to no good. He steals Charming's mother's wedding ring and proposes a deal. He will return the ring, now enchanted, to guide him straight to Snow White if the prince places a golden egg containing a potion of true love in the belly of the beast. The beast in question? Maleficent, transformed into a dragon. Charming faces the monster, finds an opening, and shoves the egg into the creature. As a reward, he gets the ring and new armor, racing to the glass coffin. He gives that true love's kiss we know by heart, and just like that, Snow White is back, and Emma finally stops being a skeptic. Flipping through the book, she sees flashes of the stories and believes. She confronts Regina, who for the first time admits everything. The two run to Mr. Gold, who reveals the obvious. Emma, the product of true love, is the only one who can break the curse. Her mission, retrieve a hidden potion from the belly of a beast, using her father's sword. Meanwhile, we see August turning completely into wood and David giving Mary Margaret an ultimatum. On the mission, Emma takes an elevator down to the lair of Maleficent in dragon form. First, she tries a gun. It doesn't even tickle. With the sword, she turns the beast into dust and grabs the egg with the potion. but on the way back, Mr. Gold tricks her and steals the vial. At the hospital, the worst happens. Henry dies. Devastated, Emma kisses her son on the forehead and boom, the true love's kiss breaks the curse. Everyone in Storybrooke remembers who they are. David yells, "Snow!" She answers, "Charming," and the couple finally reunites. Gold uses the potion to bring magic back to the town, and Regina gives a sinister smile. Her powers are back. True love's kiss wakes Aurora, but the joy is short-lived. A wraith, basically a Dementor from Harry Potter, appears, marks Prince Philip, and starts chasing him. Philip sacrifices himself to save Aurora and Mulan, having his soul sucked out by the creature. In Storybrooke, magic is back, and so is the chaos. A mob led by Dr. Whale wants to lynch Regina. Emma arrests her for protection, but Mr. Gold, who promised not to kill the mayor, finds a loophole. He marks Regina with the same talisman as the Wraith, basically outsourcing the dirty work. Belle sees everything and leaves Gold on the spot. To save the town, Emma, Mary Margaret, and David team up with Regina. The plan is to banish the Wraith using the Hatter's hat, but it's a one-way trip as they believe that world was destroyed. The plan works, but the Wraith grabs Emma just as the portal is closing. Mary Margaret, in an act of motherly courage, jumps in after her daughter. Both are sucked in. And here comes the plot twist. Aurora and Mulan weren't a flashback. They are in a part of the kingdom that survived, frozen in time for 28 years. When they find Emma and Mary Margaret passed out, Mulan blames them for the monster's arrival. And deep down, she's right. Years ago, a younger Regina lives under the thumb of her mother Cora, who is determined to marry her off to the king at any cost. She has nightmares about killing young Snow White and, in desperation, summons Rumpelstiltskin. He gives her a mirror that doubles as a portal. On the wedding day, she tries to push Cora through the mirror but fails. On the second attempt, with a little help from Rumpel, she succeeds and finally frees herself from her mother, ready to learn magic. In Storybrooke, the dwarves decide to test the town line. Sleepy crosses the border and, just like that, forgets everything about the fairy tale world. Panic ensues. Charming demands Regina bring Emma and Snow back, but she plays dumb. He is forced to ask Mr. Gold for a potion in exchange for a future favor. The population decides to flee the town, but Charming gives a motivational speech that convinces everyone to stay and embrace their new identities. He retrieves Henry, and Regina finally drops the bombshell. The fairy tale world wasn't destroyed. Meanwhile, in the Enchanted Forest, Emma and Snow White are captured by Mulan and Aurora and thrown into a pit. Suddenly, a voice in the darkness offers help. It's Cora, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, face to face for the first time.
Who are you?
A friend. My name's Cora.
In the past, Lancelot captures Snow White, but he is actually helping her escape King George. The king takes revenge on Charming by forcing Snow to drink a potion that leaves her barren. They find Charming's mother, Ruth, wounded by a poisoned arrow. At the magical lake, only one drop of curing water remains. Ruth pretends to drink the drop but gives it to Snow, asking the two to marry right there. Lancelot officiates the union, Ruth dies, and the medallion she wore reveals the trick worked. Snow will be able to have children. In the present Enchanted Forest, Emma and Mary Margaret are trapped with Cora. Lancelot appears to release them but gives himself away by mentioning Henry. It was Cora in disguise, seeking the magic wardrobe. Emma, sharper than her, sets fire to the wardrobe before Cora can use it. Mulan names Snow the leader of the refugees, and Emma finally gets a real motherly hug. In Storybrooke, Henry tries to play the hero, steals Regina's keys, and nearly becomes snake food in the family vault, but David saves him just in time. In the end, we see Albert Spencer, King George, watching father and grandson from afar. His look isn't one of friendship. Before becoming the Dark One, Rumpelstiltskin was married to Mila, who despised him for being too cowardly to fight in the Ogre Wars. One day she disappears with a band of pirates. Rumpel tries to rescue her and is humiliated by the captain, a man named Killian Jones. Years later, as the all-powerful Dark One, Rumpel encounters Killian again. Mila appears alive. She ran away by choice. They try to trade a magic bean for their lives, but Rumpel's hurt pride takes over. He rips out Mila's heart in front of the pirate and cuts off Killian's hand, thinking the bean was in it. It wasn't. Killian uses the bean to open a portal to Neverland and, with a hook replacing his hand, is reborn as Captain Hook. In Storybrooke, Belle catches Gold using magic and decides to take a break. Her father, Mo, kidnaps her to try and erase her memory up a town line. David and Ruby help Gold stop the plan. Belle forgives him when he confesses the curse was cast to find his son, Balefire. But Gold remains Gold. He keeps Smee, one of Hook's henchmen, locked in the basement. On the other side, Hook appears with Cora, both plotting plotting a way to invade Storybrooke. In the past, Rumple tries to teach Regina magic, but she is so good-hearted, she can't even rip out the heart of a unicorn. The Mad Hatter gives her a lead on a wizard who can bring back the dead. This wizard is actually a doctor in a Dopic lab, Victor Frankenstein. He promises to resurrect Daniel, Regina's fiancé, in exchange for an enchanted heart. Desperate, she steals one from her mother's vault. The procedure fails. Devastated, Regina returns to Rumple and, to prove she has changed, crushes the heart of his new apprentice. But it was all a setup by Rumple, the Hatter, and Victor. The heart was used to revive the doctor's brother. In the present enchanted forest, Emma and Snow find a massacre left by Cora. The only survivor is Captain Hook, whom Emma unmasks immediately.
I know this land well. I can guide you.
You're not gonna guide us anywhere until you tell us who you really are.
Tied up, he reveals he has a compass that can lead them home, but it's at the top of a giant beanstalk. Emma accepts the mission, taking the enemy along. In Storybrooke, Dr. Whale, still shaken by having slept with Snow White in the past, forces Regina to try and revive Daniel. He comes back, but as a monster. He attacks Henry, and Regina has to intervene. For a moment, she sees the real Daniel, who asks her to let him go. In tears, she vaporizes him. The group arrives at the beanstalk. The magic compass is with the last living giant. Emma decides to climb up with Hook. Before leaving, Mulan hands her poppy dust to put the giant to sleep and receives a cold order from Emma. If they aren't back in 10 hours, cut down the beanstalk and leave them up there. At the top, they put the giant to sleep and search for the compass, but the big guy wakes up. Emma, instead of killing the giant, traps him under a cage. In exchange, he hands over the compass and agrees to keep Hook trapped up there for a while, a precaution by Emma, who had handcuffed the pirate earlier. Meanwhile, we flash back 11 years. Emma tries to steal a yellow bug and runs into Neil Cassidy. They fall in love and become partners in crime until August appears to convince Neil to leave Emma so she can fulfill her destiny as the savior. Neil sets her up to get arrested, leaving the car as a gift. It's in jail that she discovers she is pregnant. In the present, a bizarre connection occurs. Aurora and Henry begin to have the same nightmare involving a red room in flames. The worlds are touching. In the past, Snow and Red Riding Hood are fleeing when Red's cloak tears. With the full moon approaching, Red separates and finds a clan of werewolves led by Anita, her mother, whom she thought was dead. Anita wants her daughter to embrace her wolf side, but the conversation is interrupted when guards storm the hideout. Anita attacks Snow White, and Red, to save her friend, ends up killing her own mother, a heavy trauma. In Storybrooke, Ruby fears turning without her cloak. She tries to lock herself up but wakes up in the middle of the woods with no memory of anything. A minor character turns up dead, and the whole town accuses her. The real villain is Spencer, King George, who planted the cloak in her car and burned the Hatter's hat, destroying everyone's hope of returning home. In the climax, Granny takes Spencer down with an arrow, and David manages to calm Ruby in wolf form, bringing her back. At the same time, Henry starts getting physically burned by the nightmares of the Red Room. Gold gives him an amulet to control the dreams. On the other side, Aurora watches him, suffering from the same terror. Henry uses the dream to call Aurora and discovers that Emma and Snow are alive and that Cora is on their tail. He alerts David and Regina. Worried, Regina and Gold team up. The squid ant that trapped Gold for years might stop Cora. Henry tries to return to the dream, but gets burned. David then decides to take the risk. He pricks himself on a spindle, enters the burning room, and manages to warn Snow about the ink. But when she tries to kiss him to wake him up, magic proves cruel. They can't touch. He remains trapped in slumber. Meanwhile, Hook climbs down the beanstalk and runs into Cora, who is none too pleased he lost the compass. To make up for it, she rips out the hearts of an entire village and creates an army of corpses. Snow, Emma, and Mulan fight them off, but Aurora is captured. Cora offers a trade, the compass for the princess. Mulan, desperate, runs off with the compass to make the trade, but it was all a plan. Hook had already released Aurora, but not before ripping out her heart and handing it to Cora. Now, Aurora has become the villain's puppet. In the past, the evil queen makes a deal with Hook. He kills Cora in Wonderland, and the curse she is going to cast will make Rumple mortal. In Wonderland, Hook discovers that the Queen of Hearts is Cora herself. She turns the tables, takes his heart, and convinces him to join her. They stage Cora's death to fool Regina and decide to wait, frozen in time, for 28 years. In the present, Emma, Snow, and Mulan find Rumpel's old cell and a scroll that blasts the door open. They chase Korra and Hook to Lake Nostos, where a portal opens. Emma defeats Hook in a sword fight. Korra tries to rip out Snow's heart, but Emma steps in front, and her own magic awakens, blasting Korra away. Mother and daughter jump into the portal just in time. In Storybrooke, Regina and Gold plan to destroy the portal and get rid of the two, but Henry convinces Regina to have faith. She absorbs the deadly magic from the portal and saves Emma and Snow. David is finally awakened with a kiss. The family reunites, but Regina is left standing alone. On the horizon, a ship approaches. It's Hook's ship, with Korra on board, arriving in Storybrooke. Years ago, Regina is captured by Snow White's forces. Execution is certain, but Snow, trying to be the hero, calls it off. Rumpelstiltskin offers a test. He enchants Regina so she cannot harm Snow or Charming in this land. Banished from the kingdom, she only hears Rumpel's whisper at their wedding, saying the spell doesn't work in another world. That is where the idea for the curse begins to take root. In Storybrooke, Korra and Hook arrive. She makes the ship invisible and, disguised as Regina, kills Archie, the cricket. Pongo the dog leads Emma to the body, and Gold uses magic to extract the dog's memory. Everyone sees the image of Regina strangling Archie. Emma, convinced, tries to arrest Regina, who flees using magic. Emma tells Henry, who, devastated, breaks ties with his adoptive mother. The final scene cuts to the ship, where the truth is revealed. Archie is alive, a prisoner of Hook and Korra. The villainess forged a corpse just to frame her own daughter, and plans to use the secrets Archie heard as a therapist against Rumpel. In the past, Belle sneaks out of the tower to hunt a monster called the Yao Guai. With fairy dust and courage, she lures the creature, douses it in water, and turns it back into a human. It was Prince Philip, cursed by Maleficent. Before she can return to Rumpel, Belle is captured by Regina. In Storybrooke, Gold prepares to leave town to find his son, Balefire. Hook takes advantage of Archie's funeral to attack Belle in the library. She escapes, finds the pirate's invisible ship, frees Archie, and confronts Hook. Gold arrives furious and beats Hook, but Belle stops him from killing the pirate.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm not yet, Belle.
This is what you came for. This is what's gonna get you back to Bay.
Just when Archie clears Regina's name, Gold and Belle head to the town line. Gold crosses with a potion and retains his memories. At that moment, Hook appears and shoots Belle, who falls across the line and loses all her memory. Gold prepares a fireball to finish the pirate, but a car appears out of nowhere and runs Hook over. The driver is a complete stranger. In a black and white world, we learn the story of Victor Frankenstein. He loses his father's funding, makes a deal with Rumpelstiltskin for a magical heart, and in the process, his brother Gerhardt dies. Victor tries to resurrect him, but he comes back as a monster and kills their father. In Storybrooke, Dr. Whale, Victor, is drunk and freaking out because of the outsider Greg, who saw Gold's magic. Korra, disguised as Henry, manipulates Regina into returning to the dark side. Gold attempts true love's kiss on Belle, but it doesn't work since she has no memory. He then makes a pact with Korra, a magic globe to find his son in exchange for staying out of her plans. Greg, the driver, lies to Emma, saying he didn't see anything, but later calls someone and confirms he saw the impossible.
It was in an accident. Honey, you're not gonna believe what I saw.
Gold calls in the favor Emma owes him. She needs to go with him to find Balefire, right now, and he leaves a threat hanging. If anything happens to Belle, everyone pays. In the past, we meet Anton, the smallest of the giants, who descends to the human world and is tricked by Prince James, Charming's twin brother. The humans steal the treasures and magic beans, and a war begins. Almost all the giants die. In Storybrooke, Gold, Emma, and Henry leave for New York. David finds Anton shrunken on Hook's ship. Regina gives him a magic mushroom, and he grows, beginning to attack the town, mistaking David for the prince who betrayed him. David risks his life to calm him down, and the humans finally restore the giant's faith. Anton reveals he has one last magic bean sprout, and the dwarves adopt him as Tiny. At the airport, Gold realizes his powers don't work outside Storybrooke. Meanwhile, Greg starts getting close to Belle at the hospital, both sharing the experience of having seen magic. The trip continues to find Balefire in New York. Before becoming the Dark One, Rumpelstiltskin Rumpelstiltskin receives a prophecy from a seer. His actions in the war will leave his son fatherless. To avoid this, he breaks his own leg and flees the battle, earning the brand of coward from his wife, Mila. Years later, now powerful, he meets the seer again, who transfers her powers to him and gives him a new prophecy. A boy will be his undoing, but will also lead him to his son. Rumpel decides he will kill this boy. In New York, the search for Balefire leads Emma and Gold straight to Neil, Emma's ex-boyfriend and Henry's father.
No. Neil?
The truth comes out explosively. Neil is Balefire. Gold is shocked to realize that the boy in the prophecy, the one who will be his undoing, is his own grandson, Henry. Meanwhile, in Storybrooke, Cora and Regina plot to steal the Dark One's dagger. The plan is to control Gold and force him to kill all the heroes, leaving only them as Henry's family. In the past, young Snow White's mother, Queen Eva, teaches her to be good. When Eva falls ill, the Blue Fairy offers a magic candle that saves a life by taking another. Snow refuses to use it, and her mother dies proud. But the Blue Fairy was actually Cora in disguise, who confesses to poisoning Eva and swears to corrupt Snow's goodness. In Storybrooke, Mary Margaret and David find Gold's dagger. Cora and Regina appear, rip out the heart of an old servant, and demand the dagger in exchange. Mary Margaret hands it over, but Cora kills the servant anyway. Broken, Mary swears she will kill Cora. In New York, Hook appears and stabs Gold with a poison that can only be cured in Storybrooke. Neil takes command of the ship to sail them back and drops a bombshell. He is engaged to a woman named Tamara. In the past, we see Cora's origin. Humiliated by King Xavier and Princess Eva, she lies that she can spin straw into gold. Rumpelstiltskin appears, teaches her magic, and the two fall in love. But forced to choose between love and power, Cora rips out her own heart to rid herself of feelings and marry a prince. In the present, the group races back to Storybrooke to save Gold. Cora and Regina plan for Cora to become the new Dark One. Mary Margaret finds the magic candle from her childhood, the one that trades a life for a life. She curses Cora's heart with the candle and gives it to Regina, tricking her into putting it back into her mother. Regina, believing she is doing good, puts the heart back. For a moment, Cora feels love for her daughter, but in the next second, she falls dead.
You would have been enough.
Gold is cured. Regina, completely destroyed, turns all her hatred toward Mary Margaret. In 1983, a father and son, Kurt and Owen, are camping when the curse's storm creates Storybrooke around them. Regina delights in her new world, but ends up growing fond of the boy, Owen, and wants to adopt him. The father tries to flee with him but is captured. Owen manages to escape, swearing he will return to find his father. In the present, Regina, grieving for Cora, decides to cast a curse that will make Henry love her, but for that, she needs the heart of the person she hates most, Mary Margaret. Meanwhile, Henry plans to blow up the wishing well to get rid of magic. A visitor named Greg helps Regina find him. At the edge of the well, Regina abandons the plan so as not to hurt Henry. Later, Mary Margaret, consumed by guilt, asks Regina to kill her. Regina rips out her heart, sees a dark spot of evil forming on it, and puts it back. Her revenge will be watching Mary Margaret destroy herself. The twist: Greg, the visitor, is adult Owen. He filmed Regina's magic and now has proof to expose the town. In 2011, August, who is turning back into wood, seeks a healer in Thailand. There, he meets Tamara, who pretends to have cancer to trick him. August steals money to get a curing potion, but Tamara attacks him, steals the potion, and kills the healer. She has no illness. She was there to steal magic. In Storybrooke, August, now almost completely made of wood, tries to warn Emma about Tamara, but Tamara stops him and electrocutes him before he can say anything. August is later found crawling, and with his dying breath, he attempts to reveal Tamara's true identity, but dies before he can finish his warning. The Blue Fairy turns him back into a real boy, Pinocchio, as a reward for his bravery.
Father?
Pinocchio.
Regina discovers that Greg is Owen. In the end, Greg receives a visit from her, the person he was calling. It's Tamara. The two are partners and were using Neil all along. In the past, Belle releases Robin Hood, who was trying to steal a magic wand from Rumpel to heal his pregnant wife, Marian. Rumpel is furious, but seeing the scene, he remembers his own son and purposely misses his attack, sparing the family. As a reward for her compassion, he gives Belle access to his massive library. In Storybrooke, the prophecy that Henry will be his undoing, haunts Gold. Desperate, he goes after Belle but finds Lacey, the new party girl persona with no memory that Regina implanted in her. He tries to be a nice guy, but only gets her attention when he reverts to violence and beats a guy up in a bar. Lacey is charmed by his dark side. Meanwhile, Regina discovers the heroes are cultivating magic beans to flee the town. Simultaneously, Greg and Tamara reveal they have Captain Hook tied up, ready to be used as a pawn in their plan to cleanse Storybrooke of magic. In the past, Regina's hunt for Snow White is in full swing, but when an entire village refuses to be snitches, she simply massacres everyone. Desperate, she asks her mother for a transformation spell, but Rumple, ever the opportunist, says it would take too long and transforms her himself, for a small price of course. Disguised, Regina attempts to infiltrate, but loses her temper when she sees the people mocking a statue of her and reveals herself. The crowd nearly executes her, but Snow White herself saves her skin. In the hideout, the heroine confesses she would forgive the queen if she saw true repentance. The chance arises, but upon seeing the destroyed village, Regina reveals she was the one who saved Snow from a horse years ago. The princess draws her bow, but can't shoot. Then Rumple delivers the final poison. No one will ever truly love you. Better to embrace the evil queen everyone fears, and she embraces it. In the present, Greg and Tamara, the evil duo, are holding Hook hostage. They promise to help him destroy magic and find his father. To prove they aren't kidding, they show him Gold is alive. He agrees. Meanwhile, Regina, overhearing Emma and David doubting her, tries to use Henry again. She offers the magic beans and the so-called trigger that wipes Storybrooke off the map. But the boy is smart and realizes she hasn't changed a bit. Before he can warn anyone, Regina erases his recent memories. Hook, pretending to be the queen's ally, discovers the trigger plan and, upon returning to Greg and Tamara, reveals the ruse. The cuff they gave Regina blocks her magic. Game over for the queen. The story flashes back and follows Balefire, who falls through the portal straight into Victorian London. He survives 6 months on the streets until he is caught stealing bread by Wendy Darling. Instead of turning him in, she hides him at home. The family finds out but decides to take the orphan in. At night, Wendy talks about the shadow that invites her to Neverland. Bay, already traumatized by magic, begs her and her brothers to stay away. Stubborn, Wendy goes anyway and returns terrified. Neverland is a prison where the shadow lets no one leave. Worse, now the creature wants to take one of her brothers.
Coming back tonight to take one of my brothers in my place. You said magic was bad and you were right, Bay. It's going to destroy my family.
No.
When the shadow appears, the family tries to fight, but when it comes for little Michael, Bay offers himself in his place. On the way, he distracts the creature and falls into the sea, being fished out by none other than Captain Hook. In Storybrooke, Neil wakes up from a nightmare and finds his father trying to make Dr. Whale kiss his foot. He explodes, saying his father hasn't changed at all. Emma suspects Tamara stole the magic beans, but Mary Margaret thinks it's just jealousy. The truth is, Tamara, Greg, and Hook are torturing Regina in a cannery. They work for a so-called home office that wants to destroy magic. David and Mary Margaret use a potion with Regina's tear, feel her pain, and smell sardines, leading them to the location. There, Regina confesses she killed Greg's father. When the heroes arrive, Greg flees. Neil and Emma still think Tamara is innocent until she attacks Emma, shoots Neil, and opens a portal. Before falling, he tells Emma, "I love you too." To close, Regina reveals there is a trigger to destroy Storybrooke, and at the cemetery, Greg and Tamara receive the order to blow up the town now. Cook fishes Balefire out of the sea with no idea who he is. The pirate sees a chance for a fresh start in the boy, and the two form an almost father-son bond. But the peace ends when Bay finds a drawing of Mila and figures it all out. Hook was the pirate who destroyed his family. The captain swears he can change, but Bay doesn't buy the story. In the end, the pirate does what a pirate does, betrays the boy and hands him over to the Lost Boys. Only they compare Bay to a drawing and realize he isn't the target. The one they are looking for is a certain Henry. Peter Pan never fails, the leader warns. In Storybrooke, the apocalypse is imminent. Greg and Tamara have activated the device that will wipe the town off the map. Gold, learning Neil fell into a portal, decides to end it all, but the family arrives with the news. Seeing the chaos, Regina decides to sacrifice herself to stop the bomb. Even Hook, after taking a punch from David, decides to help. Regina and Emma go down into the mine, while Hook tricks them and flees with a magic bean. But then comes the moment that changes everything. Emma finally calls Mary and David mom and dad.
Mom. Dad.
In that embrace, her magic awakens with full force. United with Regina, she deactivates the bomb, but Henry is gone. Greg and Tamara have kidnapped him. Just when all seemed lost, Hook returns with his ship. An unlikely team forms. Emma, Regina, Gold, Hook, and the Charmings, a sort of good guy suicide squad. They use Gold's blood to locate Henry. Destination, Neverland. They set sail using the last bean. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mulan finds Neil on the beach, very much alive. 11 years ago, Emma gives birth to Henry, while the hospital lights flicker. The doctor asks if she is sure about the adoption, and she is blunt. "I wasn't born to be a mother." Back in Neverland, the expedition arrives, and Gold immediately announces he is going alone. Here, belief is power, and Emma doesn't believe enough. The frustration turns into a fight, with her blaming her parents for everything. Mermaids attack the ship, and Regina, out of patience, turns one into wood. Tension explodes into a brawl, and to force unity, Emma throws herself into the sea. The gesture works. Everyone works together to save her. The storm ceases, and they reach the island. On the other side, Henry is with Greg and Tamara, who discover the Home Office was pure hogwash. The Lost Boys are in charge. The Shadow rips Greg's shadow away, and Tamara takes an arrow. Henry flees and meets a boy who claims to have escaped the Lost Boys.
Must be careful.
Are you a Lost Boy?
I was. But I escaped. Now they're after me too.
Meanwhile, Gold finds Tamara on the brink of death. She asks forgiveness for Neil, and he replies by crushing her heart into dust. Felix, Pan's right-hand man, intercepts him. "Try to take Henry and you die." Henry and his new friend escape. At a cliff, Henry uses stolen pixie dust and flies because he believes. Only the boy was, in fact, Peter Pan himself. He was hunting for the heart of the truest believer, and Henry, surrounded, is the grand prize. In the enchanted forest, Neil wakes up and, with the help of Robin Hood, discovers in a globe that Emma is in Neverland. Neverland begins to mess with the group's minds. Pan appears to Emma with a blank map and drops a riddle. To find Henry, she needs to discover who she truly is. Regina, having no patience for games, attempts a locator spell but walks into an ambush by the Lost Boys. During the skirmish, David is hit by a spear tipped with Dreamshade, a sinister poison. Later, Emma faces a lost boy and sees herself, an orphan. Upon admitting this painful truth, the map finally reveals itself. Pan reappears to congratulate her and drops a veiled threat. "You won't just feel like an orphan, you'll be one." David, of course, hides from everyone that he has been poisoned. Rumpelstiltskin, meanwhile, is in an internal struggle. He tries to hide his dagger and bury the past for good, summoning an image of Belle as his conscience. He even throws away a childhood doll, but the object always returns. You can't simply erase who you were. In the past, we see Snow White wanting to take back the kingdom. Charming goes to Rumple and gets an Excalibur. He pretends he can't pull the sword from the stone, and Snow, upon succeeding, gains the confidence she needed. With this renewed faith, she faces the queen, saves a villager, and even wounds her. Only later does Rumple reveal the trick. The sword was a fake. The power was always within her. In a flashback, Regina, trapped in a loveless marriage and weary of her own magic, is about to throw herself from her balcony. That is when the fairy Tinkerbell appears, offering a second chance to find her true love. The blue fairy forbids this mission, but Tink, rebellious as ever, steals some pixie dust and guides Regina to a tavern. Inside is the perfect man for her, a guy with a lion tattoo. But Regina freezes with fear, flees, and lies to the fairy, claiming the man was horrible. The lie comes at a high cost. The blue fairy strips Tink of her wings.
I no longer believe in you.
In Neverland, the group needs help, and Hook suggests finding Tinkerbell. Regina panics, but it is too late. Tink appears, knocks the queen out with poppy dust, and threatens her with a poisoned spear. In an act of desperation, Regina rips out her own heart, confesses she ran away because she was afraid to be happy, and hands it to Tink. The logic is simple. If Tink kills her, her heart will go as dark as Regina's. Tink backs down but refuses to help. While Pan brainwashes Henry, Neil joins forces with Robin Hood to use Robin's son as bait to hitch a ride with the Shadow to Neverland. Meanwhile, Mulan decides to confess her feelings to Aurora, but discovers the princess is pregnant. Heartbroken, she gives up and joins Robin's band of merry men. As she shakes his hand, the camera focuses on a detail, the lion tattoo. Robin Hood was Regina's true love all along. We need a different Rumpelstiltskin. A proud father gifting Balefire a knife taken from a victim. But Bay doesn't want blood. He wants a normal life. Rumple, already consumed as the Dark One, forbids him from leaving. The boy runs away. Children from the village begin to vanish to the sound of a magic flute. Rumple sets an ambush and finds a masked piper, Peter Pan, an old acquaintance. It turns out only boys who feel unloved can hear the music, and Rumpel hears it too. Pan taunts him, daring him to ask if Balefire wants to leave with him. Afraid of the answer, Rumpel simply drags his son home with magic. At home, Bay drops a bombshell. He would have chosen to stay with his father. On the island, Neo manages to escape Felix. Gold, on the way to his own sacrifice, runs into his son. The reunion is painful, but sparks a plan. Use squid ink to paralyze Pan. Later, Emma finally finds Neil's hideout and breaks down, admitting she never stopped loving him. At the Lost Boys camp, Neil manages to paralyze Pan, but the villain plays dirty and reveals a prophecy. Gold is there to kill Henry. Faced with doubt, Neil demands his father's dagger. Gold refuses. In a desperate move, Neil uses the ink against his own father to save Henry, but it was all Pan's plan. The boy is recaptured, Neil is taken prisoner, and to the sound of the flute, Henry, who can now hear the melody, dances, completely under the villain's control.
You can hear the music now, can't you, Henry?
Years ago, a young Killian Jones sets sail with his brother, Captain Liam, on a ship that flies using Pegasus feathers. The destination is the second star to the right, Neverland. The mission is to harvest a healing plant, but Peter Pan warns them that the plant is actually Dreamshade, a deadly poison. Liam, skeptical, cuts himself on purpose and falls ill. Pan offers water from the island's spring but warns, all magic comes with a price. Liam is saved, but he dies the moment they return to ordinary seas. Devastated, Killian burns the magic feathers, renounces his king, and transforms into the feared pirate Captain Hook. In the present, Henry is training to be a lost boy. He fights and injures another boy, and Pan congratulates him. Lost boys don't apologize. David, meanwhile, is agonizing from the poison. Regina, impatient, rips out a lost boy's heart to send a message to Henry. The move shocks Mary Margaret, but Emma agrees. To save her son, anything goes. Hook, seeing David on his last legs, secretly takes him to the spring and saves him, but reveals the price of the cure. David is now trapped in Neverland forever. The group hears only the heroic version of the story, and Emma rewards Hook with a kiss. The joy is short-lived. Pan appears and delivers the final low blow. Neil is alive. The scene cuts to Neil, unconscious in a cage. In the past, Ariel saves Snow White from drowning and, in exchange, gets the chance to see her prince Eric again. Using the legend of Ursula, Ariel gains legs for 12 hours. She dances with the prince and receives an invitation to travel the world. The evil queen, watching everything, sees an opportunity. Disguised as Ursula, she promises Ariel legs permanently if she uses a bracelet that transforms Snow White into a mermaid. Regina reveals the scam, but Ariel fights back, stabs the queen in the neck with a fork, and saves her friend. As revenge, the queen steals Ariel's voice, leaving her helpless as she watches Eric sail away. On the island, Regina tries to teach Emma magic, but Hook arrives with the bombshell. Neil is alive. Mary Margaret can't help herself and spills the news, irritating Regina, who heads off on her own. Pan sends Neil to the Echo Caves to spice things up. The group arrives and discovers the rule of the place. To free Neil, everyone must confess their darkest secret. Hook admits the kiss with Emma made him move on from an old love. Mary confesses she wants another baby. David reveals he is trapped in Neverland. Finally, Emma crosses the bridge and pours out the truth. She wished Neil were dead because it would be easier than reliving all the pain.
We're dead. Because it would be easier for me to put you behind me than to face all the pain that we went through all over again.
The cage opens, but the wound remains. Neil promises he will never stop fighting for her, while Hook listens in silence. Elsewhere on the island, Pan tries to trick Gold with an illusion of Belle, but Regina arrives and exposes the sham. They team up, and Regina summons Ariel. She returns the mermaid's voice and sends her to Storybrooke with a mission. There she finds Belle, and a sand dollar projects an image of Gold, who reveals their love is the secret weapon against Pan. Belle immediately realizes the item is in the chipped cup, Pandora's box. Suddenly, two of Pan's henchmen ambush them and steal the box. Later, in the mines, Belle manages to knock them out and discovers the truth. They are John and Michael Darling. They only wanted the box to save their sister Wendy, who has been Pan's prisoner for over a century. Moved, Belle allows Ariel to take the box back to Neverland. In exchange for the help, Regina gives Ariel permanent legs. On the island, the hunt for Pan's shadow turns into a disastrous love triangle between Neil, Emma, and Hook. The shadows attack, but Emma handles it with magic and shuts both men down. The priority is Henry. Meanwhile, Pan uses a sick Wendy as bait to convince Henry to go to Skull Rock. Back at camp, Mary Margaret and David make up after all the revealed secrets, proving that even in Neverland, their love can withstand the pressure. We meet Malcolm, Rumpelstiltskin's con-man father. After abandoning him with spinsters, he returns, and Rumple convinces him to flee to Neverland using a magic bean. There, Malcolm discovers he can create things with his mind but cannot fly because he is an adult. The Shadow confronts him, saying the place is only for children. To stay, he must get rid of his son. Without a second thought, Malcolm casts Rumple aside and the boy is whisked away. In a green glow, Malcolm rejuvenates and transforms into Peter Pan, the name Rumple would give to his doll. The Shadow warns, this stolen youth has an expiration date. In the present, the group reunites. Meal reveals that Gold planned to kill Henry because of a prophecy. To prove he has changed, Gold hands over Pandora's box and drops the bombshell. Pan is his father. Regina uses a spell to put the lost boys to sleep and rescues Wendy, who reveals the whole plan. Pan is dying and needs the heart of the truest believer. If Pan lives, Henry dies. The race to Skull Rock begins. Gold arrives first and tries to trap Pan, but the villain switches the boxes and imprisons his own son instead. When Emma, Regina, and Neil arrive, it is too late. Henry, believing he is a hero, rips out his own heart and hands it to Pan. The villain becomes immortal, and Henry collapses to the floor. Back in the Enchanted Forest, as the curse looms closer, the evil queen pays a visit to Rumpelstiltskin's cell just to rub her success in his face. He asks how it felt, and she replies, "It tastes like victory." But Rumple, sharp as ever, asks how it felt to kill her own father. The queen dodges the subject, but he reminds her that the savior, Snow White's daughter, can break the curse, and that the queen will be left with a hole in her heart the size of a chasm. Meanwhile, in Neverland, Peter Pan touches down triumphantly with an unconscious Henry. Emma demands to know what he did, but Pan swears it was Henry who willingly gave him his heart. Emma charges with her sword, but Pan, faster than the Flash, dodges and grabs Pandora's box, claiming that if even Rumple didn't have the guts to face him, the heroes wouldn't stand a chance. He drops the bombshell. Rumple is trapped inside the box. Emma manages to land a cut on his arm, but Pan just laughs, dismissing it as a mere tickle. In a flashback to 11 years ago in Storybrooke, we see a lonely Regina. Archie, the cricket-turned-psychologist, suggests that a child could give her life new meaning. The idea takes root, and Regina goes straight to Mr. Gold, the town's fixer, asking for help to jump the adoption waitlist. He agrees, but issues a warning. The child must come first, always. Back in Neverland, Regina casts a spell to preserve Henry while they hunt for Pan. The plan is to make the lost boys talk. Emma suggests a more motherly approach, offering to take them home, which works on almost everyone except the loyal lieutenant, Felix. They discover Pan is at his thinking tree.
His thinking tree.
No! Yes, his thinking tree.
Stop it, all of you!
What is that? It's where he goes when he wants to be alone.
In the past, Regina adopts a baby and names him Henry, but motherhood isn't a walk in the park. The baby cries incessantly and only settles down in Mary Margaret's arms, which leaves Regina rattled. She discovers the birth mother is the savior and, in a panic, decides to return Henry. In Neverland, Emma, Regina, and Mary Margaret find the thinking tree, but it's a trap. The tree ensnares anyone who holds regrets. Pan appears and reveals he abandoned his own son right there, and that son is Rumpelstiltskin. While Emma and Mary Margaret are held back by their guilt, Regina shocks everyone. She declares she regrets nothing, as it all led her to Henry. Through sheer force of will, she breaks free, plunges her hand into Pan's chest, and rips Henry's heart back. Regina rushes to the ship, places the heart back in her son's chest, and Henry wakes up. With the family reunited and Rumple released from the box, everything seems perfect. But as everyone celebrates, Henry approaches Felix and, with a sinister smile, reveals the truth. Pan never fails. The wretch switched bodies with his grandson and is now infiltrated among them, ready for the next round. His final line is chilling. "Now, let's play." In the past, Snow White and Prince Charming's wedding is interrupted by Regina, who shows up to curse everyone. The honeymoon turns into a suicide mission. Snow wants Medusa's head to petrify the queen. Charming tries to stop her but ends up tagging along. In the cave, his sword turns to dust, and upon facing the monster, he turns to stone. Snow, thinking quickly, uses the shield's reflection to make Medusa petrify herself. Charming returns to normal, and the two decide to abandon revenge to focus on their family. In Storybrooke, the gang returns from Neverland thinking everything went well. Ariel reunites with Eric. Wendy reunites with her brothers, but no one knows that Henry is actually Pan on the inside. Hook, being noble, steps back apt to let Neil try to reconnect with Emma. The strange Henry manipulates Regina, getting the secret to her vault out of her, and as soon as she leaves, he summons the Shadow, which kills the Blue Fairy in front of everyone. Hook recognizes it immediately. Pan is in town. Outside the town limits, Emma and Gold open Pandora's box and release the real Henry, who is trapped in Pan's body. The family welcomes him back, but upon returning, they find Regina passed out and discover the worst part. Pan stole the original curse scroll. His plan, to cast the curse again and turn Storybrooke into the new Neverland, with him in charge. Pan, still in Henry's body, prepares to cast his new curse. To do so, he needs to crush the heart of the Finn he loves most. In front of Felix, his most loyal henchman, he reveals his target, Felix himself. He rips out the guy's heart and turns it into dust. Meanwhile, the good guys race against time. Gold explains that only Regina can stop the curse, but there will be a price. First, they need to swap the bodies back, and for that, they need the Black Fairy's wand. Then to search for the wand, the Shadow attacks, but Tinkerbell traps it in fire, revives the Blue Fairy, and gets her wings back in the process. With the wand, Gold performs the spell, and Henry and Pan return to their own bodies. Pan, now vulnerable, rips off the cuff blocking Gold's magic and puts it on him. To free himself, Gold has to cut off his own hand. In the climax, Pan immobilizes everyone. Gold says goodbye to Belle and Neil, summons his dagger and sacrifices himself, stabbing both himself and his father. Both turn to dust. Regina then reveals the price to stop the curse, reversing the original one. This means everyone from the Enchanted Forest will go back home, and Storybrooke will cease to exist. Since Henry was born in our world, he cannot go. Emma must stay with him, receiving false memories of a happy life. 1 year later, in New York, Emma and Henry are living well until Hook knocks on the door saying their family is in danger. True love's kiss doesn't work, and she kicks him out. In New York, Emma lives a normal life with Henry and her new boyfriend Walsh. In the middle of a date, Hook appears, begging her to regain her memories. Emma's superpower to detect lies goes off, but she ignores it. Later, Walsh proposes. Confused, she goes to the address Hook left and finds Neil's apartment. There, a camera with Henry's name on it reveals photos of Storybrooke, and suspicion turns into certainty. She bails Hook out of jail and drinks the memory potion. Everything comes back in a flash. When breaking up with Walsh, he reveals himself to be a flying monkey in disguise and attacks. Emma throws him off the building, puts on her iconic red leather jacket, gets in the bug, and heads back to Storybrooke with Henry and Hook. The reunion with her parents is emotional, and the shocking news is that Mary Margaret is pregnant. The problem is that no one, except Hook, remembers the last year. The scene cuts to the Enchanted Forest. Regina, devastated without Henry, rips out her own heart so she doesn't have to feel anymore. Mary Margaret convinces her to put it back. A flying monkey attacks, but Robin Hood saves her. They discover Regina's castle has been taken over by a green-skinned witch. Using Regina's own blood in a spell, the witch introduces herself. "I'm Wicked, and Wicked always wins." In the Enchanted Forest, Regina is determined to storm her old castle. A flying monkey attacks, and she turns it into a toy for Robin Hood's son, while Belle identifies that the creatures come from Oz. Regina reveals her darkest plan, to cast a sleeping curse on herself so that one day Henry might wake her. To stop anyone from interfering, she freezes Robin and lifts the hairpin, but is interrupted by Zelena. The Wicked Witch reveals they are half-sisters, daughters of Cora, spills all her venomous envy, and vanishes. Regina unfreezes Robin, now with a new goal, to destroy Zelena. In Storybrooke, no one remembers the last year, and people are disappearing. Little John, for instance, reappears as a monkey. The whole town blames Regina for the new curse. Secretly, she and Emma stage a public fight while investigating together. The plan is to announce a memory potion to lure out the real culprit. Meanwhile, Mary Margaret meets a super attentive midwife named Zelena, who seems obsessed with her pregnancy. Regina's office is broken into, and green smoke whisks the intruder away. Flying monkeys, green smoke. Emma puts the pieces together. The Wicked Witch of the West has arrived in town, and in the storm cellar of Zelena's farmhouse, her prisoner is none other than Rumpelstiltskin, alive, completely insane, and locked in a cage.
You feed the madness and it feeds on you. You feed the madness and it feeds on you.
9 months earlier, David wakes up from a nightmare where Emma is sucked into a portal. Snow reveals the pregnancy, and he panics, afraid of failing as a father again. He goes in search of Nightroot and finds Rapunzel trapped in a tower by a dark double that feeds on her fear. David convinces her to cut her hair and face her fear head on. The clone vanishes and she is freed. Back home, he confesses his panic about losing another child. In Storybrooke, Zelena is using the dagger to shave Rumple and collect his blood. She breaks him to Gold's shop, freezes Belle, and steals the Nightroot. Later, she infiltrates as a nanny and offers David a spiked tea, causing him to hallucinate. In the woods, he faces his own dark double and, by finally facing his fears, wins the internal battle. Later, when they reach the cage where Rumple was, they find only a spinning wheel. Regina concludes the obvious. Zelena not only took Rumple, but also stole David's courage by forcing him to face his greatest terror as part of some larger plan. In the Enchanted Forest, Belle and Neil find Lumiere, the talking candelabra, in Rumple's castle. He says he knows how to bring the Dark One back, pointing to a key and a vault, but Belle realizes the story doesn't add up. It was a trap set by Zelena. Even so, Neil opens the vault, gets a burn mark on his hand, and out of nowhere, Rumpelstiltskin emerges. Zelena appears, takes the dagger, and orders Rumple to kill Belle. Lumiere, regretful, creates a distraction and helps her escape. The price of the ritual? Neil's life. In Storybrooke, Zelena spikes Mary Margaret's juice to monitor her pregnancy. Emma and David find Gold delirious in the woods and discover the truth. Gold was somehow inside Neil. He begs Emma to use her magic to separate them. The spell works, but exacts a terrible price. Gold revives, but Neil dies. Before passing, he tells Henry and Emma he loves them and confirms Zelena is the Wicked Witch. Shortly after, she appears to gloat over Gold, now under her control, and declares she wants Mary Margaret's baby. Emma, devastated, tells Henry his father died a hero.
There's one thing I need you to know about him. He was a hero. I wish I would have known him.
A tornado in Oz drops a magical baby in the middle of a road. Raised by woodcutters, little Zelena grows up being called a witch by her adoptive father. As an adult, she seeks out the Wizard of Oz, who reveals the truth. Her mother, Cora, abandoned her to seek royalty and later had another daughter, Regina, who was trained by Rumpelstiltskin. The wizard gives Zelena silver slippers, and with a click of her heels, she goes to the Enchanted Forest. There, she becomes Rumple's student, but envy of Regina eats her up inside until her skin literally turns green. Back in Oz, she unmasks the wizard, discovering he is Walsh, an ordinary man from Kansas. Disappointed, she transforms him into a flying monkey and swears she will make it so Regina was never born. In Storybrooke, at Neil's funeral, Zelena taunts Rumple. Later, she invades Granny's, reveals to Regina that they are sisters, and challenges her to a duel at sundown. The group tries to free Rumple, but Zelena threatens to use him to kill everyone. In the duel, when Zelena tries to rip out Regina's heart, she discovers the trick. Regina had already taken it out and given it to Robin Hood. My mother taught me, never bring your heart to a witch fight, Zelena snaps, and Regina finally understands the ingredients for the time travel spell. David's courage, her own heart, and Gold's brain. Zelena's plan isn't a curse, it's a second chance for herself. In the past, Hook is living his best pirate life until he gets tricked by Ariel. She is looking for Prince Eric, who was kidnapped aboard the Jolly Roger, now in the hands of Blackbeard. Bitter since returning to the forest, Hook is reluctant but agrees to help. In the final duel, he is about to win, but Blackbeard dangles the bait. He reveals Eric's location in exchange for the ship. Hook chooses the Jolly Roger, claiming he is sparing Ariel from a broken heart. She doesn't understand and calls him a monster before vanishing into the sea. In Storybrooke, Emma trains magic with Regina, while Henry prefers spending time with Hook. Ariel appears out of nowhere, with no memory of the last year, looking for Eric. Guilt eats away at Hook, who lies, saying he knows nothing. A locator spell leads them to the docks, but is lost to the sea. Faced with failure, Hook confesses he betrayed Ariel in the past, choosing the ship over helping her. And then comes the plot twist. Ariel transforms into Zelena. She curses his lips. The next kiss on Emma will drain all her magic.
The next time your lips touch Emma Swan's, all of her magic will be taken. Everything.
If he doesn't do it, Zelena will start killing everyone Emma loves, starting with Henry. Hook returns to the group, lies that Ariel left, and carries the burden of an impossible choice. We go back to Cora's youth. She gets pregnant by a gardener who posed as a prince and abandons her. Thrown out of the castle after the truth comes out, she gives birth to Zelena and leaves her at the foot of a tree. A green tornado takes the baby straight to Oz. In Storybrooke, Zelena distracts Regina while sending Gold to steal her heart, which is with Robin Hood. He threatens Robin's son son, and he caves. Zelena then attempts a romantic dinner with Gold, who feigns seduction to try to grab the dagger, but she realizes the trick and sends him back to the cage. The group attempts a ritual to speak with Cora's spirit, which ends up possessing Mary Margaret. Regina manages to save her friend and expel her mother's spirit, but the possession leaves a clue. Belle puts the puzzle together and discovers Zelena's plan. She is gathering ingredients for a time travel spell. Regina's resilient heart, David's courage, and Gold's brain. The goal? Go back in time and stop Snow White's mother from being born, erasing her rival's existence. And to activate the spell, she needs Mary Margaret's baby. The threat finally unites Regina and Mary Margaret against a common enemy. Belle rides in with the latest gossip about Neil, but Aurora drops the bombshell. Zelena threatened her to get information and now wants Snow's baby. True to form, the witch appears, turns Aurora and Philip into flying monkeys, and does a scan of the pregnancy. 8 months later, in total panic, the heroes go to ask Rumple for help, who is caged and crazier than the Joker. Upon touching his hand, Belle deciphers the hint. The magic of Glinda, the good witch, is the only thing that can stop Zelena. Snow and Charming go through a portal and find Glinda, who reveals the secret. Zelena's power lies in a pendant, and only someone with pure light magic, like Emma, can remove it. Since she isn't around, Plan B is as drastic as it gets. Cast the dark curse again to bring her back. However, to do that, Regina needs to crush the heart of the thing she loves most, and sacrificing Henry is out of the question. In a heroic act, Charming offers himself up. Regina, devastated, rips out his heart for Snow to crush, and he drops dead. Zelena, of course, shows up to ruin the party, adds a forgetting potion, and vanishes. But Snow has a crazy idea. Regina must split her own heart and give half to Charming. She tries, and unbelievably, it works. He revives seconds before the curse swallows everything. In a final moment, Neil's spirit possesses Rumple and sends a memory potion to Hook, ensuring Emma remembers everything. In Storybrooke, to break the new curse, Henry needs to believe again, and the storybook is the key. Zelena kidnaps Hook and threatens him. Either he kisses Emma and steals her magic, or it's over. The book reappears. Henry touches it. The memories return. The witch kidnaps the boy, but Emma explodes in pure light and rescues him. Regina hugs her son, and true love's kiss breaks the curse. Amidst the confusion, Emma discovers it was Snow who cast the curse, and that Hook's lips are cursed. At the cemetery, Mary Margaret's water breaks. The baby is coming. In a flashback to Oz, we see Zelena in the Emerald City, spying on Regina through a portal and consumed by envy. That is when Glinda, the good witch, appears offering a second chance, a place alongside the other witches. They give Zelena a pendant to channel her magic and, as a bonus, remove the green tint from her skin. Redemption seems certain until a green cyclone drops a house with a girl named Dorothy right in the middle of Oz. The girl becomes the new local celebrity. Zelena's skin turns green with jealousy again, and after reading a prophecy, she convinces herself Dorothy will steal her spot. Zelena confronts the girl, throws a fireball, and Dorothy, in a panic, throws a bucket of water on her. The witch melts, but it is all an act. Zelena was alive, pretending to be the Wizard of Oz the whole time. She sends Dorothy back to Kansas and banishes Glinda to another dimension, revealing herself as the grand manipulator behind everything. Back in Storybrooke, Mary Margaret's baby is being born, and the hospital is protected by a spell, but Zelena uses Rumple to forge a brain of gold, the final ingredient for her time travel. Emma and Hook try to stop her, but the witch creates a cruel choice. She throws the pirate into a well and forces Emma to save him, even if it costs her magic. She dives in. The kiss saves Hook, but takes her powers along with it. At the hospital, Zelena breaks in, freezes everyone, and kidnaps the newborn. In the final showdown, when all seems lost, Regina accesses her light magic, defeats her sister, and rips off the pendant, leaving her powerless. She decides to spare Zelena, but Rumple does not. He tricks Belle, takes the dagger back, goes to the cell, turns the witch into dust, and, inadvertently, activates the time portal she wanted so badly. The story takes us back to a child, Emma, in an orphanage, watching another girl get adopted while the director promises her turn will come. Loneliness was her companion from an early age. In present-day Storybrooke, the mood is celebratory. The royal baby is going to be crowned, and Henry is already looking for apartments. But Emma kills everyone's vibe. She wants to go back to New York. Not even Regina, who is on cloud 9 with Robin Hood, likes the idea. She finally tells him about Tinkerbell's prophecy and the lion tattoo, and Robin confirms their destiny has arrived. At Granny's, Henry sees a beam of orange light on the horizon, the time portal. At the same time, news spreads that Zelena killed herself in prison. Little do they say no, Gold staged it. Emma goes out to think, and Hook tries to convince her to stay, until the portal sucks both of them into a barn in the enchanted forest of the past, right on the night her parents were supposed to meet. And of course, Emma makes the #1 mistake of time travel. She makes noise, startles Snow White, and prevents the meeting. To fix the timeline, there is only one name, Rumpelstiltskin. He almost kills Hook over old beef, but Emma tells him everything about the future. The pages of the storybook begin to disappear. The plan: go to King Midas's ball. While Emma distracts the past version of Hook, leaving present-day Hook so jealous he punches himself, Snow must steal a ring from the prince. At the ball, Emma and Hook infiltrate as Princess Leia and Prince Charles. Snow gets the ring, but is captured by the prince. Everything seems to be back on track, until Regina appears and catches Emma red-handed. A jump to 2001, Emma and Neil break into an amusement park just to take a ride on the carousel. He talks about having a real home, leaving a mark on her that goes beyond memory. Back in the enchanted forest of the past, Emma is trapped alongside a mysterious woman, with execution scheduled for dawn. Using a trick she learned from Neil, she picks the lock with 2 spoons. Meanwhile, Red Riding Hood helps Charming break into Regina's castle. There, Snow faces the evil queen, tries to apologize for Daniel's death, but Regina doesn't want to hear it. She throws a fireball and turns Snow into ashes in front of everyone. Emma breaks down. If her mother died, why does she still exist? The answer comes when a ladybug, with the help of the blue fairy, turns back into Snow White. The timeline is healing. Seeing her parents reunite, Emma decides to take the other prisoner to Storybrooke. Back in the present, she finally calls the town home. The baby is named Neil, and Hook confesses. He traded his precious Jolly Roger for a magic bean just to rescue her. Emma kisses him, sealing a new beginning, but the happiness is short-lived. The woman she brought from the past is Marion, Robin Hood's great love. Regina's joy turns to dust, and the evil queen's fury resurfaces. To make matters worse, an object from the journey opens. A blue liquid takes the form of Elsa, the Queen of Arendelle, who has just arrived in Storybrooke. In Arendelle, Anna and Elsa's parents, about to be shipwrecked, throw a bottle into the sea containing the truth about their voyage. 5 years later, Elsa finds her mother's diary and discovers they didn't go for business, but to look for a cure for her powers. Consumed by guilt, Elsa shuts herself away, and Anna rushes to find out that they went to the enchanted forest. In Storybrooke, Elsa emerges from a barn and freezes a pickup truck, while Emma tries to apologize to Regina for bringing Marion back. Robin, honorable as ever, stays with his wife. Regina, furious, frees Sydney and traps him in the magic mirror, planning to erase Marion from history until the mirror reflects the image of the evil queen she is fighting to forget. Following the trail of ice, Emma and Hook find Elsa, who, terrified, creates a giant snow monster. Fatine takes a beating until Regina appears and incinerates the monster, saving Marion. Later, Regina comes to a conclusion. In this book, only heroes get happy endings. She is going to find the author and rewrite her destiny. Meanwhile, Gold, on his honeymoon, swaps the real dagger for a fake one and uses the original to open a locket containing a sorcerer's hat. And Elsa, in his shop, finds Anna's necklace, a clue to finding her sister. In the enchanted forest, David is just a peasant being trained by Anna to face Bo Peep, a local warlord. Between sword lessons, he opens up about the shame he feels regarding his alcoholic father. Anna disappears, and David must use what he learned to defeat the warlord, rescue her from a barn, and even give up his horse. Before leaving, she asks about magic, and David's mother writes down a dangerous name, Rumpelstiltskin. In Storybrooke, Elsa, desperate to find her sister, creates an ice wall around the town and cuts the power. Emma and Hook find her, but David's approach causes Elsa to trap herself and Emma in an ice cave. While Mary Margaret deals with the panicked population, David and Hook discover Anna's connection to Bo Peep, who is now a butcher, and take her shepherd's crook. Over the walkie-talkie, David gives the right advice to Elsa, who calms down and frees Emma. With the staff, they hear Anna's heartbeat. She is alive. Henry finally embraces Regina, but the ice wall doesn't fall because there is another woman with ice powers working at an ice cream shop in town. In Arendelle, Hans and his army arrive with a secret weapon, an urn. Kristoff spies on the plan and with Elsa finds the urn in a cave, but it is a trap. Hans and his 12 brothers force Elsa to hand over the object. Upon opening it, they release Ingrid, the Snow Queen, who introduces herself as Elsa's lost aunt. In Storybrooke, Marion passes out after eating ice cream poisoned by the ice cream shop owner, who is Ingrid herself in disguise. The town blames Elsa, who is hidden by Emma. The trail of magic leads straight to Ingrid. Elsa and Hook confront her, and she plants a seed of doubt. What if it was Anna who trapped Elsa in the urn? Emma arrives in time to stop a fight. Robin's true love's kiss on Marion fails, and he confesses he loves Regina. She promises to find a cure no matter what, while Emma and Hook finally kiss, with no curses standing in the way. Anna goes to Rumpelstiltskin's tower in search of the truth about her parents. He proposes a deal. She must deliver a poison to the sorcerer's apprentice. She refuses, throws the liquid away, and discovers it was the antidote. Rumpel reveals the trick. The apprentice, already poisoned, turns into a mouse. The plan was to harvest the tear of someone who faced their own darkness and chose the light, Anna. With the tear, he opens the sorcerer's hatbox, which sucks up magic, and throws the truth in her face. Her parents wanted to strip Elsa of her powers. The mouse bites Rumpel. He drops the dagger, and Anna takes control. She forces him to send her back to Arendelle, where she reunites with Kristoff, not knowing how to tell Elsa everything. In Storybrooke, Gold already has the hat. For his first date with Emma, Hook asks for his hand back. Gold warns him about the side effects. The hand reawakens his aggressive pirate side. Gold will only undo the magic if Hook helps him suck the apprentice into the hat, and records everything to blackmail him, revealing that the hand only unleashed who he really is. Henry, on the hunt for the author, gets a job with his grandfather and a broom that leads him in the right direction. In 1998, a teenage Emma meets Lily, another orphan. They become partners in petty lies and even get matching star tattoos on their wrists. The friendship ends when Emma discovers Lily had a family the whole time and lied about everything. Betrayed, she erases the star and leaves. In Storybrooke, Ingrid, the Snow Queen, summons an ice warrior, while Emma finds an old photo with her former foster mother. Elsa, following a mirage of Anna, falls into a trap.
Where's Anna? What did you do?
Emma and Regina put their differences aside and together fight the warrior, but Ingrid puts them in a tight spot. It is Elsa who saves them. Later, Emma opens up to Regina about Lily's betrayal, and a videotape reveals a new scene. Ingrid handing the camera to a teenage Emma. The foster mother was always there, but erased herself from everyone's memory. Belle wakes up from a nightmare, and to find out how her mother died, goes to Arendelle. There, she finds Anna, who is also suspicious of Aunt Ingrid. Together, they find out from Grandpappy that Anna's mother had two forgotten sisters, Helga and Ingrid. The Snow Queen overhears everything, causes a storm, and Anna is left hanging from a cliff. Torn, Belle lets a memory stone fall to save her friend, losing the chance to know her past. Anna falls, and Ingrid kidnaps her to replace her and her perfect family with Elsa. In Storybrooke, Belle uses the dagger, which she believes to be real, to force Gold to take her to Ingrid's hideout. There, a cursed mirror reveals the truth. The dagger is a fake. Manipulated, Belle attacks Gold, giving him a personal reason to join the fight. Regretful, she tells Emma and Elsa that Ingrid plans to cast the spell of Shattered Sight, causing the town to destroy itself until only the three of them remain. In a flashback to Arendelle, we meet the three sisters, Ingrid, Helga, and Gerda. After a kidnapping goes wrong and Ingrid uses her ice powers to defend herself, they swear a pact of secrecy. Years later, Rumpelstiltskin offers Ingrid gloves to contain her power in exchange for the ribbons of sisterhood. When the Duke of Wesselton harasses Ingrid, Helga defends her but ends up struck by her sister's ice and shatters. Horrified, Gerda traps Ingrid in an urn and wipes the kingdom's memory. In Storybrooke, Emma and Elsa capture Ingrid, but at the station, the Snow Queen toys with Emma's insecurities until her powers explode, allowing Ingrid to escape.
I can't. It's you, Emma, and it's beautiful.
Seeing the look of fear in her parents' eyes, Emma runs away, believing herself to be a monster. Meanwhile, Regina and Robin give in to their passion. Ingrid makes a deal with Gold. She gets the town, and he frees himself from the dagger. In exchange for the ribbons, she reveals the missing ingredient for his plan, and Gold promises to acquire it with pleasure. In the past, Ingrid devises a plan to trade the sorcerer's hat for a third sister. In Arendelle, she tries to turn Elsa against Anna, but the sisters pretend to fall for the trap. Ingrid anticipates this, captures Anna, and curses her with the spell of Shattered Sight. Filled with hatred, Anna traps traps Elsa in the urn, and Ingrid freezes the entire kingdom. Rumple shows up wanting the hat box, but ends up taking the urn as hostage. The apprentice offers Ingrid a deal, the box in exchange for a trip to the future, where she will find Emma. In Storybrooke, Emma loses control and hurts Henry. Desperate, she seeks out Gold to remove her powers. A trap. Elsa ignores the Charming's wishes and goes after her friend. Elsa's faith calms the storm and restores Emma's control. Frustrated, Gold rips out Hook's heart and uses him as a puppet. Free, Ingrid places shackles on Emma and Elsa to drain their powers and casts the spell of Shattered Sight over the town. Anna and Kristoff barely thaw out before being accused of treason by Hans. They flee and team up with the pirate Blackbeard to free Elsa, but it is a trap. Hans and the pirate lock them in a trunk and throw them into the sea, revealing that Arendelle has been frozen for 30 years. In Storybrooke, Gold spares Belle and Henry from the curse in exchange for his own safety. The Resistance attempts to reverse the spell, but Elsa, following her instinct, goes to the beach alone. Gold forces Hook to suck the magic from all the fairies into the sorcerer's hat. In despair, Elsa wishes for her sister back, and her necklace, the wishing star, causes the trunk containing Anna and Kristoff to wash up from the sea. But it is too late. The curse hits. Snow and David lock themselves in separate cells. Hook chains himself to the dock, and Regina seals herself in her vault as hatred freezes everyone's eyes. The curse turns Storybrooke into a battlefield. Mary Margaret and David trade accusations in their cells, while Emma and Elsa, bound by Ingrid's ribbons, are powerless to intervene. Regina reverts to being the evil queen, attacking everyone. On the beach, Anna finds a bottle with a revealing letter. Gerda confesses that Ingrid is their aunt. Anna rushes to the Snow Queen's lair and confronts her with the truth. Upon reading her sister's memories and confession, Ingrid breaks down. In a final act of redemption, she sacrifices herself, turning into snow and lifting the curse. Finally, she is reunited in peace with her sisters. Gold, who is immune, orders Hook to kidnap Henry, but the boy, even under the curse, pulls a Home Alone stunt and escapes.
Just trying to do what's best.
With the town saved, Gold vows he won't stop at Storybrooke. His next target is the world. In the past, Rumple gives Belle a gauntlet that points to the one she loves most. Shortly after, she is kidnapped by Maleficent, Ursula, and Cruella, who demand the gauntlet. Rumple tricks the three, recovers the artifact, and swears he will secure his happy ending alone. In Storybrooke, with the ice wall down, Anna and Elsa must return to Arendelle, which has been taken over by Hans. Gold, controlling Hook, promises to kill him later. Henry, helping Belle, knocks over the gauntlet, and her memory of Rumple's betrayal returns. Emma realizes Gold's game. In the final confrontation, Belle arrives with the real dagger, orders Gold to return Hook's heart, and banishes him from the town, stripping him of his magic in a painful farewell. Regina watches Robin leave with Marion. 6 weeks later, in New York, Gold seeks out Ursula. It is time to reunite the villains to force the author to give them happy endings. In the past, Maleficent, Ursula, and Cruella accept an invitation from Rumpelstiltskin to seek their happy endings. He takes them to a mountain where they face traps and retrieve an orb, only to be betrayed and left to face Chernabog, a demon that hunts the heart with the greatest potential for darkness. The target is Maleficent, but Ursula saves her. 6 weeks later, Gold recruits the two in New York to return to Storybrooke. There, Hook and Belle free the fairies from the hat, but inadvertently release Chernabog. The monster attacks, and the villains help by phone, claiming it seeks the darkest heart. Regina acts as bait, but the plan goes wrong. Emma blasts it out of town. Cruella and Ursula enter Storybrooke, but are pressured by David and Mary Margaret to keep a secret from the past. Gold is smuggled back in and reveals the con. He released Chernabog on purpose, and the target wasn't Regina, but Emma, the person with the true greatest potential for evil. Snow and Charming return from their honeymoon to find the castle under a sleeping curse, the work of Maleficent, Cruella, and Ursula. The Tree of Wisdom gives them a grim vision. Their daughter Emma has the potential to become the greatest villain of all. Maleficent, Maleficent, also pregnant, proposes a truce, which is refused. In Storybrooke, Mary Margaret's nightmares and David's anxiety return. Cruella and Ursula taunt Regina, while David lies to Emma about the past. He and Mary Margaret try to prevent Maleficent's resurrection but fall into a trap. Their blood brings her back, thirsty for vengeance. Regina and Henry discover a page with a door and the word author. In the end, Mary Margaret confesses to Regina. To ensure Emma's goodness, they sacrificed Maleficent's baby. The proof is in the villain's hands, a baby rattle. Rumple catches Regina studying Maleficent's magic and sends her undercover to meet the sorceress, who is in ruins and without her fire. Regina helps her regain her strength, and Maleficent casts the sleeping curse on Aurora. In Storybrooke, Regina acts as a double agent for Gold and the Queens of Darkness. To prove her loyalty, she helps kidnap Pinocchio. Meanwhile, Hook, suspicious, asks Belle to hide the dagger, but Gold, disguised as Hook, retrieves it. At the villain's hideout, he reveals his trump card. He transforms Pinocchio back into August, the man who knows everything about the author. In Neverland, Hook meets a young Ursula, who uses her voice to sink ships on the orders of her father, Poseidon. He tries to help her escape, but when the plan fails, he steals her voice out of vengeance. Furious, she embraces her villainous side. In Storybrooke, the villains torture August and discover that the author is trapped behind a door illustrated in the book. Hook, seeking redemption, promises to return Ursula's voice if she reveals Gold's plan. With Ariel's help, Poseidon is brought to town. He asks his daughter for forgiveness and restores her voice. Having what she wanted, Ursula reveals the secret. Gold's plan is to corrupt Emma's heart, because as long as the savior exists, villains will not have happy endings. The door to the author is on the page of the book itself. In the past, Snow and Charming, frightened by the vision of an evil Emma, seek out the apprentice. He suggests transferring the darkness from the baby into another vessel, Maleficent's egg. They steal the egg, and the spell sucks not only the darkness, but also the egg, and as a bonus, Ursula and Cruella into another realm. In the present, Regina discovers that the author is trapped inside the illustration of the door. Henry finds the key, but gives a fake copy to his mother. Mary Margaret and David take the key and the real page and decide to confess to Emma. Gold puts Regina to sleep and reveals to Maleficent that her daughter, Lily, was adopted. Emma hears her parents' confession and explodes with rage. August wakes up and explains that the man trapped in the page is just the latest of many authors, one who began manipulating the stories. With the key, Emma opens the door on the page and frees the street peddler who tricked them in the past. He flees without giving answers. In Sherwood, Rumpelstiltskin hires Robin Hood to steal the elixir of the wounded heart in Oz. Robin obtains it, tricks Zelena, and uses the money to help his people. In Storybrooke, Emma is devastated by the truth about her parents. Gold captures the author, who now possesses a living magic quill. 9 weeks earlier in New York, Robin's life with Marion is interrupted when Gold suffers a heart attack. Robin steals the elixir, but it doesn't work on Gold. That's when Marion reveals herself to be Zelena, who traveled back in time and took Robin's wife's place to destroy Regina's happiness. She blackmails Gold, and Robin, unaware of anything, deletes Regina's number from his phone. In the present, Regina calls, and Zelena answers, taunting her. Gold warns Regina, to protect Robin, Emma's heart must be plunged into darkness. In 1920s, London, a young Cruella lives locked in the attic by her mother, who uses a pack of Dalmatians, as if they were a riot squad. But then Isaac, the author, appears disguised as a reporter, ready to save the damsel in distress. He is enchanted by the tragic story she tells, husbands murdered by her evil mother, and casually shows her his magic quill and grants Cruella the power to control animals. The plan? Run away together. But the plot twist is soap opera worthy. The murderer is Cruella herself. She uses her new powers to turn her mother's dogs against her, fashions a new coat, and upon confronting Isaac, has her hair stained by the magic ink. The icon is born. In desperation, the author writes the sentence, "Cruella can never kill anyone again." Back in Storybrooke, she finds Maleficent, confesses she stole the dragon egg with Ursula just to suck out its youth, and on top of that, abandoned baby Lily. Maleficent transforms, but Cruella knocks her out with a breath of green magic. Plan B is to kidnap Henry, using Pongo, and blackmail Emma and Regina, kill the author, or the boy dies. Gold, always a step ahead, advises Isaac to push Emma toward the dark side. Henry almost escapes, but but ends up cornered on a cliff. Snow and David discover the truth about Cruella's curse, but arrive too late. To save her son, Emma simply explodes and pushes her off the cliff. In Henry's embrace, the Savior's face takes on a new shadow, that of darkness. In the past, the sorcerer scolds the apprentice. Isaac crossed the line, manipulated fates, and threw little Lily into our world, carrying all the darkness that should have been Emma's. Cut to 1999, and we see a young Emma reuniting with Lily. Between one lie and another, their friendship ends with Emma being kicked out of her foster home. At the bus stop, Lily drops the truth. Her life is darkness, and Emma is the only thing that lights it up. As the Savior departs, the apprentice sits beside the girl and promises to explain why everything in her life goes wrong. In the present, Maleficent switches sides and offers an alliance to the heroes, dropping the bombshell. Her daughter is alive, and her name is Lily. The name hits Emma like a punch, connecting the dots to the only friendship she ever had. Regina then suggests a road trip duo. She will warn Robin about Zelena, while Emma looks for Lily. In Storybrooke, Gold uses Will to steal Belle's heart, but returns it shortly after. He confesses that his own heart is so rotten he will die faster if he keeps hurting her, and gives his blessing for her to move on with Will. On the road, Emma and Regina find Lily working as a waitress. She pretends not to know anyone, but at home, she has a conspiracy wall about Storybrooke. After a chase and a fight, Emma points her gun at her, and Regina stops her from crossing that line. Emma forgives her parents and convinces Lily to meet Maleficent, and then the message arrives. Gold has Belle's heart. Robin is in danger. They speed up, but Marion can't keep up the charade and reveals herself. It's Zelena, and she is pregnant with Robin's child. Regina tries to process the news, and little Roland has no idea where his mother went. In Neil's old apartment, Emma stares at a dream catcher while Zelena feels the baby kick. The only way out is back to Storybrooke, so Regina gathers everyone, Emma, Lily, and Zelena herself, in a two-car caravan. In the past, we see Cora appearing all loving after Regina crushes a groom's heart at the altar. She promises to help her daughter find the true love prophesied by Tinkerbell, but Robin Hood is already married, so Mommy's plan B is to fake a lion tattoo on the Sheriff of Nottingham to trick Regina. However, she finds out, transforms the tattoo into a real lion that attacks the guy, and to free herself from her mother's clutches once and for all, takes a potion to become infertile. Back in the present, Lily thinks only of revenge against the Charmings, but Maleficent just wants a chance with her daughter. Gold and the author need Emma's darkness for the quill's ink to work, and Regina, with Isaac in her hands, hatches her own plan. She lies to Lily, saying her parents died, and collects the girl's dark blood, enough to power the ink. Lily goes furious and turns into a dragon until Maleficent manages to calm her down.
Are you all right? Not sure.
Emma finally forgives her parents. With the quill, the ink, and vengeance in hand, Regina chooses not to erase Zelena from existence, giving up the shortcut to her happy ending. But Isaac escapes, runs to Gold, and starts writing a new book, Heroes and Villains. And with a once upon a time, everyone's fate is turned upside down. The author, tired of being just a supporting character in other stories, decides to rewrite the Book of Destiny. Heroes and Villains is born, an inverted universe where the good guys become the worst nightmares and the monsters become saints. Henry wakes up in this bizarre world as the only one who remembers the truth, holding the key to the book and a mission: ensure a hero gets a happy ending to undo the mess. In this world, Rumpelstiltskin is a legendary knight, Snow White is the evil queen who uses Charming's heart as a toy, and Regina is an outlaw. To make matters worse, Robin Hood is set to marry Zelena. Isaac, the author, allies with Snow to hunt Henry, who in a counterattack frees Emma from a tower, the only other person who remembers everything. Together, they recruit a cowardly Hook to the cause. In the chase, Snow and Charming catch up to them. Hook, in a burst of courage, faces the prince and dies in front of Emma. In the grand finale, the wedding invasion turns into a pitched battle. The hero Rumpel raises his sword to kill Henry, but Regina throws herself in front of him, sacrificing herself. This heroic act activates the magic quill and transforms Henry into the new author. He writes the end of the nightmare, and everything returns to normal. In Storybrooke, peace is short-lived. While trying to save Gold, the darkness breaks loose and goes straight for Regina. To protect her friend's redemption, Emma surrenders, confesses her love to Hook, and accepts the darkness, becoming the new Dark One. On the dagger, a new name is engraved: Emma Swan. In 1989, a child Emma watches a movie and receives a bizarre warning from an usher. One day, she will try to pull Excalibur from the stone, and she had better not do it. In Camelot's past, Arthur pulls the sword, but the tip is missing, which is the Dark One's dagger. In the present, in Storybrooke, Emma disappears into the smoke of darkness, leaving behind only the dagger with her name. Hook tries to summon her and fails. Regina realizes the truth. She is no longer in this world. The only chance for rescue is Merlin's wand, which requires light and darkness to work. And since Regina has been too good lately, the only available darkness is Zelena. The plan goes wrong. Zelena cuts off her own hand to escape the cuff, summons a cyclone to flee to Oz, but Regina recaptures her and redirects the tornado to the Enchanted Forest, taking Granny's diner and the whole gang with it. There, Emma fights an imaginary Rumple who whispers temptations. She bumps into Merida and almost rips out the archer's heart over a wisp, until her family arrives and pulls her back. Emma gives the dagger to Regina, the only one she trusts to stop her, and then Arthur and his knights appear, inviting everyone to Camelot. 6 weeks later, a sharp cut. Everyone wakes up in Storybrooke with amnesia and dressed as if they came from a medieval festival. Emma appears, fully transformed into the Dark One, raises the dagger, and vows revenge. Camelot welcomes the heroes of Storybrooke with a feast, and the prophecy is clear. Merlin is trapped in a tree, and only the Savior can free him. To prevent Emma from giving in to the darkness, Regina assumes the role and lies, claiming she is the Savior. Mary Margaret and David practice dance steps with the new hero. Henry flirts with a girl named Violet, showing off his iPod Nano, and the mood is pure celebration until Percival ruins everything. He accuses Regina of his family's death and, with an enchanted sword, wounds Robin. The Queen's magic fails and Emma must intervene, healing Robin, but feeding the darkness that torments her. In Storybrooke, the curse of the return takes its toll. Dopey turns into a tree upon crossing the town line, and a Fury kidnaps Robin to balance the life saved by magic. Emma reveals that it was Regina who activated this debt by asking for help at the ball. At the last second, Regina decides to sacrifice herself, but the combined strength of Mary Margaret, David, Leroy, and Arthur manages to defeat the Fury. While they celebrate, Emma stares at Excalibur in the stone and hears Rumple's voice. To wield it and snuff out all the light, she will have to pay a final price. The mission in Camelot is to seek the Crimson Crown mushroom, the only item that allows communication with Merlin. David volunteers, and Arthur tags along, taking the opportunity to badmouth Lancelot. While crossing a dangerous bridge, David retrieves the mushroom, fights Phantom Knights, and nearly drowns, being saved by Arthur, who actually steals the item and offers David Lancelot's seat at the round table. Later, Mary Margaret finds Lancelot very much alive, who gives the warning, the true villain is Arthur. In Storybrooke, Emma steals Grumpy's pickaxe, and Arthur stages a scene, claiming camp items including a magic bean were stolen. Using a chalice, David chases the Squire Griff in a bizarre pickup truck versus horse action sequence. Griff confesses, but the supposed bean never existed. Emma breaks the pickaxe trying to pull Excalibur, and Rumple's vision insists she needs a true hero. She tests Hook, but the vision vanishes when he proves his love. Suspicious, he breaks into her house with Robin, and they see Belle's rose blooming again. Gold has awakened, but Emma has already kidnapped him. His heart is a blank page, and she intends to transform him into the purest hero to free the sword. In the end, Arthur reveals his game. He told Griff to take poison to hide the plan to turn Storybrooke into New Camelot. Before becoming king, Arthur was just a stable boy who discovered that Excalibur came in half. Trapped in the lie, he spends his life obsessed with the other part, the Dark One's dagger. Guinevere, feeling ignored, finds comfort in Lancelot and goes with him after the dagger. They survive a pit full of spirits, share a kiss, but Rumple appears and offers a deal. Their gauntlet for the sands of Avalon, capable of fixing anything. Back at the castle, Arthur uses the sand to enchant Guinevere and enslave her heart, sustaining the charade. In the present, he shows the broken sword to David, who finally understands. Emma, haunted by the imaginary Rumple, almost hurts Hook. Mary Margaret tells them Lancelot is alive, and the couple hatches a plan with a fake dagger. However, Guinevere, under the spell, turns the tables with the magic sand, imprisoning Lancelot and Merida, and turning the Charmings into the king's puppets. In Storybrooke, Emma's plan advances. Holding Merida's heart, she forces her to train Gold to become brave and turn into the hero she needs. In a Dreamcatcher, Emma watches a shocking revelation. Merlin, the sorcerer, was the hunter who faced the original Dark One and was turned into a tree. She discovers discovers that Arthur wants to unite Excalibur and the dagger to kill him. Emma then freezes her own parents, who are being manipulated by Arthur, and asks Regina to use dark magic to free Merlin. Regina hesitates, until Henry tries to pull Excalibur from the stone to impress Violet, gets rejected, and unknowingly provides the perfect tear, that of a broken heart. With Henry's emotion, Regina holds Arthur back with fire magic, and Emma finally frees Merlin. The sorcerer confronts the king and warns he will only save Emma if her heart is ready to let go of the darkness. In Storybrooke, Merida trains Gold to be brave. Henry distracts his mother while Regina and the others break into her house and find the dagger and Excalibur united in the stone. Hook finds a dream catcher and discovers the memory that breaks Henry's heart. In Camelot, Emma ripped out Violet's heart and forced her to break up with him just to get the tear. Henry, devastated, slams the door in his mother's face. 6 weeks earlier, in Camelot, David, Hook, and Belle pull off a prison break-style rescue and free Lancelot and Merida. Belle melts the bars with a spell, and Merida reveals her brothers have been kidnapped to force her to abdicate the throne. She then knocks Belle out and takes her to Dunbrock. In a witch's hut, Merida sees her brothers about to die in the cauldron. Belle prepares a potion to turn her into a bear, but it was just a placebo. The lesson was that Merida needed to believe in herself. With bow and arrow, she humiliates the rival clans and is crowned queen. Meanwhile, in Storybrooke, Gold manages to escape using the shards of the chipped cup. Emma blackmails Merida. Either turn Gold into a hero or Belle dies. Belle and Gold reunite, but Merida hunts them down, drinks the potion for real, and turns into a giant bear. Gold finally finds his courage, faces the beast, and breaks the spell. He pulls Excalibur from the stone and confronts Emma, making it clear he is not like the other heroes she has broken. When Regina and the others contact Merlin, the connection drops the exact moment he was about to reveal how to defeat the darkness, because Emma got there first. 1500 years ago, a young Merlin, dying of thirst in the desert, finds the Holy Grail. His companion turns to dust upon touching it, but Merlin drinks, gains magic, and makes an entire forest sprout. 500 years later, he falls in love with Nimue, a woman consumed by vengeance. Together they forge the sword that will become Excalibur, but her enemy attacks. Nimue appears to die but returns immortal. She also drank from the Grail. Ignoring Merlin, she rips out the enemy's heart, becomes history's first Dark One, and breaks the sword in two. In Camelot, Merlin guides Emma to the spark capable of reforging the blade. Hook gives her a ring as an anchor of love. Along the way, Emma faces Nimue's spirit, who tries to force her to kill Merlin. She resists and takes the spark. Meanwhile, the other heroes invade the castle with the help of Zelena, who obviously betrays them. Arthur uses Excalibur to control Merlin and wipes everyone off the map. In Storybrooke, Emma ignores all warnings, unites the dagger and the sword, and reforges Excalibur. Now she wields the full power of the darkness like no one before. In the woods, Arthur pretends to be a hero until David, Hook, and Robin unmask him. He almost kills Hook, but Emma appears with the completed Excalibur and puts the king in his place, uttering only, "I'm doing this all for you." Confused, Hook seeks out Gold, who recognizes the regret on her face. Following his advice, Hook throws himself off a roof, forcing Emma to save him. She takes him to the house she planned to buy, admits she is more afraid of happiness than darkness, and knocks him out with a magic kiss. Parallel to this, Emma accelerates Zelena's pregnancy with enchanted onion rings to get a newborn's cry. With the baby in her arms, she kidnaps the Wicked Witch. The plan? Transfer all the darkness into Zelena and then eliminate her. Hook wakes up chained next to the witch, breaks free, and demands the truth. Zelena plunges Excalibur into his chest, but nothing happens. Then comes the bombshell. Emma reveals the memory she erased. In Camelot, Hook was mortally wounded, and to save him, she turned him into another Dark One. The blade now bears two names, Emma and Killian.
Climb a spell.
Feeling betrayed, he turns against her and allies himself with Zelena. In Dunbrock, Merida pays tribute to her father and vents about how hard it is to rule. A witch appears to collect an old debt. Either Merida hands over a magic helm, pays 10,000 in gold, or everyone in the kingdom turns into bears. In a flashback, we see Fergus, her father, giving his bow to his daughter before Mulan appears to train her. The lesson is that a leader is the first to risk their life, something Fergus fulfills by dying at the hands of a mysterious knight, Arthur himself, who steals the helm. In In the present, Merida hires Mulan, who has become a mercenary, to help her. That's when Zelena and Arthur show up. The witch mocks Fergus's legacy and tracks the helm. Mulan then asks the forest witch for help, and finds none other than Ruby, the wolf, exiled from Storybrooke. The three set up an ambush, recover the helm, and teach Zelena and Arthur a lesson. In the end, the debt collector reveals it was all just a coronation test. Merida passes, earns a spell to speak with her father's spirit, and swears she will make Arthur pay. The darkness takes hold of Hook, bringing back his worst side and offering vengeance in the voice of an imaginary Rumple. The heroes notice his disappearance, and Merlin admits this is the worst case scenario. Emma finds him and manages to silence Rumple's ghost with a kiss, but only briefly. Excalibur calls to Hook, and Emma's lie is exposed. She hid the blade from him. Furious, he vanishes, and she summons him with the sword itself to try to calm him down, handing over Excalibur. Hook runs to Merlin, demanding a way back to Storybrooke. The only way is with the Dark Curse, which would cost Emma's heart, but he finds a loophole. He rips out Merlin's heart. Nimue, the first Dark One, appears and explains the trick. Since she lives in all Dark Ones, it was as if she herself had acted. Hook completes the curse ritual. Emma knocks him out and wipes everyone's memories with dream catchers as the purple cloud of the curse swallows Camelot. Back in Storybrooke, the new Dark One imprisons Emma and challenges Gold to a duel on the Jolly Roger, healing his rival's leg to make the fight fair. Meanwhile, Henry frees Emma and restores everyone's memories. Gold defeats Hook but spares him. Belle, fed up, breaks up with him. With their memories back, Emma understands the plan. Hook lost on purpose to get a drop of Gold's blood, open a portal to the underworld, and summon all the Dark Ones of the past. We go back to Killian's childhood. His father, Brennan, swears eternal love, and soon after sells his sons to save himself. Years later, Regina hires Hook to kill Cora and casts him by ordering him to execute a tavern keeper, who happens to be Brennan. The father says he has changed, has a new family, moved. Hook sets up an escape plan until he hears Brennan repeating the same speech to his young son. The facade crumbles and Killian kills him in cold blood. The pirate is born. In Storybrooke, Hook recalls this while Gold tries to bring him back to reason. No success. The Dark Ones mark Emma's friends with the Mark of Karen, a one-way ticket to the underworld. Emma plans to absorb all the darkness, and Regina sends Zelena to Oz in a tornado. But Hook, disguised as Henry, tricks Emma and steals Excalibur. At the lake, Nimue leads the ritual. Regina appeals to the man who still loves Emma. Hook emerges, sucks all the darkness into himself, and begs to die as a hero. In tears, Emma stabs him, and the darkness vanishes. Back in town, she discovers the final betrayal. Gold enchanted Excalibur to take the darkness back for himself. Emma blackmails him. Either he helps her go down to the underworld to rescue Hook, or she tells Belle everything. In the past, on Regina's birthday, she demands Snow White's heart. Desperate, her father summons Cora through the mirror. The mother escapes, disguises herself as Prince Henry, tricks Snow, and steals her heart. But the real Henry sabotages the plan, saves Snow, and swaps the heart for a guard's. Regina finds out, traps her father in a box, and banishes Cora, but the mother pulls the box with her, leaving Regina completely alone. In the present, the heroes arrive in the underworld, a twisted version of Storybrooke where souls with unfinished business roam. Neil appears in a vision to Emma and warns her, leaving is almost impossible. Cora runs the place and threatens Regina. Either she leaves with Robin and Henry, or her father will be thrown into a worse place. Gold reunites with Peter Pan, who wants to trade places with a living person. Emma summons Hook's spirit, but only catches a glimpse of him, totally broken. Regina then uses the potion on her father's grave. Prince Henry appears, proud of the hero his daughter has become. With his unfinished business resolved, he moves on to a better place. The heroes decide to help other souls, but Hades, furious, punishes Cora, condemning her to be a miller's daughter forever. Snow White, still insecure, flees from bandits and falls into a trap. Hercules, on his final labor, facing Cerberus, saves her and starts training her. In the underworld, Hook wakes up next to a mysterious woman and sends her to find Emma, but the three-headed Cerberus chases them. Snow and David discover Hercules' grave and figure it out. His unfinished business is defeating the beast and saving that woman, Meg. Meanwhile, Henry finds Cruella, who tries to seduce him with the author's pen to bring her back to life. Hades appears, brags about being Hercules' uncle, and reveals that Cerberus killed him. With renewed courage, Snow convinces Hercules to fight as a team. Together, he, Snow, and Meg defeat the monster. The two lovebirds ascend to Olympus, and Hades unleashes his poison. For every soul that escapes, one of the hero's friends will stay trapped there forever. To make matters worse, he forces Hook to choose who will be first. Hades hangs Hook over the river of lost souls, and Gold receives a flute from Pan to spy on Belle, but the crystal ball explodes. He decides to team up with Emma and reveals the right person to help, Neela, his ex-wife. In the past, Rumpel made a deal for Balefire's antidote in exchange for his second child, and Mila was furious. It was at a bar shortly after that young Hook saved her, the beginning of the love triangle. In the underworld, Gold takes Emma to Mila, who is shocked to learn Emma dated her son and her ex. With her help, Emma infiltrates Hades' lair and saves Hook. Meanwhile, Regina finally makes peace with Daniel's ghost. Hades then demands Gold's price. He knows Belle is pregnant and that an old contract gives him rights to the baby. Blackmailed, Gold gets his hands dirty. He pushes Mila into the River of Souls, destroying her forever. Emma tries to split her heart with Hook, but fails. Hades personally marked Emma, Regina, and Snow to stay trapped there, and with his son on the line, Gold has become his pawn. In the past, brothers Liam and Killian are sold into servitude by their father. Years later, aboard a ship, Liam leads a mutiny to save the crew from a hurricane, but Hades appears with a deal: the two brothers' lives in exchange for the souls of everyone else. Liam accepts, lies to Killian, and steers the ship into the storm. Only the two survive and become heroes. In the underworld, Liam reappears and disapproves of Emma. Henry, guided by the apprentice, starts hunting for a book that can defeat Hades, but the god blackmails Liam to rip out and destroy the pages about him. Regina gets suspicious, but Hook defends his brother until the ghosts of the old crew appear, reveal the betrayal, and kidnap the two. At the abyss, Liam redeems himself by attacking Hades to save Killian, and by falling, frees his soul and those of the other sailors. Henry recovers the pen, but Hades has already found the missing pages, which expose his biggest secret, his past connection with Zelena. In Oz, Zelena blows out the candles alone and prepares a time travel spell. The plan is to steal a baby's innocence, the Tin Man's heart, the lion's courage, and the Scarecrow's brain. Dorothy returns, frees the Scarecrow, and ruins the party. That's when Hades appears, offering an alliance and confessing that only true love's kiss could make him human. Between bicycle chases and teasing, the chemistry flows. They get the brain, but at the crucial moment, Zelena panics, thinks it's all a trick, and banishes him from Oz. In the present, Belle is caring for Zelena's baby when the witch appears disguised as a nun. A portal opens, and Belle jumps with the child, falling straight into the underworld with Zelena hot on her heels, where the witch's magic doesn't work. Snow and David find a phone to talk to their son. Gold confesses he is the Dark One again, and gets an ultimatum from Belle. Zelena rescues her daughter, but realizes she can't protect her there. She confronts Hades, who confesses his love. He modeled the entire underworld to look like Storybrooke because of her. Zelena refuses, and he swears he will wait for her, whatever the cost. In the distant past, Belle's father is pushing her toward Gaston. While out and about, they find a captured ogre, and Belle, soft-hearted as always, thinks she can resolve it with words. She grabs a mirror that reveals evil and tries to make Gaston a storybook hero, until the mirror breaks and shows the truth. Gaston is a psychopath who tortured the ogre just to have an excuse to kill it. To make matters worse, the ogre army advances, and the only salvation is a political marriage with the brute she accepts to protect the kingdom.
If you will be my queen.
I will.
Meanwhile, in the underworld, Emma dreams of a monster attacking her, Snow, and Hook. Zelena drops the bomb. Hades is smitten with her, and Hades himself, proving he's the drama king, crushes a flower, symbolizing hope, and recruits none other than Gaston to kill Gold. Gaston attacks, and Belle is shocked to discover Rumpel had already killed him once. Hades appears with a devilish proposal. If one pushes the other into the River of Souls, he spares the baby. In the confrontation, Belle uses the dagger to stop Rumpel, but accidentally sends Gaston straight into the river. Hades pulls a villainous technicality, voids the deal, and says the baby is still his. And the monster from Emma's dream, her name is Ruby. In Oz, Little Red Riding Hood, or rather Ruby, and Mulan run into Dorothy and Toto. Zelena drops from the sky in a tornado, full movie witch style, kidnaps Toto and issues an ultimatum. Either return the silver slippers or the dog becomes a rug. While gathering poppies for a spell, Ruby and Dorothy open up to each other, sharing a moment of venting about guilt and loss. But the peace ends when flying monkeys attack. Dorothy throws herself into danger alone to save Toto and gets captured. Zelena naturally casts a sleeping curse on her. In the underworld, Ruby appears out of nowhere and discovers she was hunting Zelena because of Dorothy's disappearance. Zelena mocks her to her face. Only true love's kiss breaks the curse, and according to her, no one loves Dorothy. The hope lay with Aunt Em until Hades melted her like ice cream on pavement. To escape Hades' contract, Belle places herself under the same sleeping curse. Meanwhile, David trades places with Snow so she can return to Storybrooke. Amid the chaos, Ruby finally realizes the obvious feeling she had all along. She loves Dorothy. With the slippers Zelena left behind, Ruby and Snow travel to Oz. Ruby kisses Dorothy, the curse breaks, and love wins. Back in the underworld, Hades and Zelena celebrate their new romance in the most sinister way possible, destroying souls to prove their love. As a child, Regina wanted a sister so badly she tried to create one with magic. It didn't work, and she fell into a coma. To wake her up, only a relative with magic would do. Cora travels to Oz and finds Zelena suffering at the hands of her adoptive father. She freezes the guy and takes the girl to help. Zelena wakes Regina and they become best friends, until they discover they are sisters. Cora, always thinking of her daughter's career, admits the truth and wipes both their memories so as not to interfere with Regina's royal future. Back in the underworld, Hades invites Zelena to Storybrooke. For that, he needs his heart to beat again, and in exchange, the heroes stay trapped forever. Fair, right? Regina sees everything and decides to appeal to the only person who can solve this mess, Mommy. Cora is freed and, true to form, tries to wipe Zelena's memory again. With peace sealed, Cora's unfinished business is resolved, and she ascends to Elysium. Meanwhile, a twin drama worthy of a telenovela unfolds. James, David's evil twin, poses as him, kidnaps Zelena's baby, and almost throws Emma and Robin into the river. David arrives, but James chooses hate and ends up falling into the river of lost souls. And Gold, always up to something, summons Peter Pan and captures Zelena with a bag, ready to start trouble. In the not-so-distant past, Emma was a fugitive targeted by bounty hunter Cleo Fox, but the chase turned into a partnership, and the two tried to find Emma's biological family. During an escape, Cleo got hurt saving the girl and confessed she had also abandoned a daughter. A year later, with Cleo already deceased, Emma finds her daughter and, as a rite of passage, buys the red leather jacket that became her trademark. In the underworld, all hell is breaking loose. Gold and Peter Pan have kidnapped Zelena, and Hades asks the heroes for help in exchange for taking their names off the tombstones. At the exchange, Pan wants Zelena's heart, but Emma ruins the plan. Hades gets his lover back. A kiss makes his heart start beating again, and he keeps his word, opening a portal. However, Hook's body is destroyed, and Emma can't split her heart. Hades offers one last chance, ambrosia, a magical plant, but it was all a trap. Emma passes the true love test but discovers Hades had already destroyed the ambrosia. He never intended for them to leave. With no way out, Hook says goodbye and asks Emma to move on. She returns, frees everyone, and Gold delivers the coup de grace to Pan with water from the River of Souls. The portal closes, Hook stays behind, and Emma crosses over, completely devastated.
Is anyone else? Let's go.
Back in Storybrooke, Hades arrives, kicking down the door. As soon as King Arthur flees prison, the god wipes him from existence. Zelena swears her bow has changed, but Regina and Robin aren't buying it. Emma, consumed by grief over losing Hook, only thinks of revenge. Tension explodes when they discover the ultimate weapon, the Olympian crystal, strong enough to kill a god. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Hook forms an unlikely duo with the newly arrived Arthur. They discover Hades' weakness is precisely the crystal, and send the tip to Emma via the storybook. The conflict in Storybrooke heats up. Hades surprises Regina and Robin trying to rescue the baby. The crystal points at Regina, and in a final heroic act, Robin throws himself in front of her to save her, dying in the process. It's the reality check Zelena needed. She realizes Hades is beyond repair, takes the crystal, and turns him into dust. After the funeral, a miracle. Zeus, as a reward, brings Hook back to life, but happiness is short-lived. Gold finds a shard of the crystal, and just by the look in his eyes, you know more trouble is coming. Storybrooke is mourning Robin, Regina is at rock bottom, and Gold is already plotting his next megalomaniacal scheme, using all the town's magic channeled into the Olympian crystal to wake Belle. The sky turns into a light show, and amidst the confusion, Hook reappears. Emma and Regina barely have time to process it when they discover Gold is to blame for the chaos. The old feud between the two resurfaces until Henry loses patience. In Operation Mixtape, he uses his author powers and simply writes that the crystal is his, and it works. With the power in his hands, he announces he's going to destroy magic once and for all. The problem? Without magic, Storybrooke might simply disappear. To save the powerless folks, Zelena opens a portal, which goes wrong. She, Snow, David, and Hook are sucked into another dimension, trapped in a strange world.
Look.
They fall into the hands of Mr. Hyde and are helped by a timid gardener, Dr. Jekyll. But Hyde turns the tables and also pulls Belle's Pandora's box through a portal, blackmailing Gold. In New York, Henry finds a letter from Robin to Regina, who almost snaps and threatens to revert to the evil queen. Henry tries to use a holy grail to destroy magic, but Gold knocks him out and steals the crystal. When Emma and Regina arrive, their magic is already failing. In the land of untold stories, Dr. Jekyll explains that this place is a refuge for characters who fled their destinies. He creates a serum to separate good and evil, but is forced to release his alter ego, Mr. Hyde, who then uses the formula to split himself for good. In the fight, Zelena and Snow defeat Hyde, and Jekyll grabs his equipment to make a run for it. In New York, Henry manages to extinguish magic, unaware he trapped half his family on the other side. The only way out is to ask the dragon for help. When his magic fails, Henry makes a speech at a fountain. The crowd tosses in some coins, and collective faith reopens the portal, reuniting everyone. Inspired by all this, Regina uses Jekyll's serum to rip the evil queen out of herself and destroys her, or at least she thinks so. The calm in Storybrooke lasts a breath. Mr. Hyde reveals he made a deal with Gold and now owns the town, bringing along all the characters from the untold stories. And the evil queen? She didn't die. She rises from the ashes, rips out the dragon's heart, and makes it clear the war is just beginning. In some desert, Jafar whispers the curse into Aladdin's ear. Saviors don't get happy endings. Aladdin's hand starts to tremor. Cut to Storybrooke. A giant dirigible appears, and Mr. Hyde descends from it, declaring himself the new boss in town. Emma and Regina try to use magic, but fail miserably. The dirigible crashes, and Jekyll appears with a plan to neutralize Hyde, who ends up locked up. Emma has a grim vision. Her hand tremors just like Aladdin's. Hyde notices and taunts her, telling her to follow a redbird. She obeys and finds the Oracle, who shows the future. Emma dying at the hands of a hooded figure to save her family. She hides this from everyone. Meanwhile, the evil queen, now a separate person, goes to Zelena to propose an evil alliance. In the Gold and Belle drama, he invades her dreams to try to rekindle their romance and break the curse. But Belle, smarter now, refuses. The dream guide, Morpheus, reveals himself as the son she is carrying and wakes her with a kiss. Back in reality, Belle warns him she and Gold might coexist, but they will lead separate lives. In the Enchanted Forest, the Count of Monte Cristo is celebrating his revenge when the evil queen appears with a proposal, a list of enemies for him to kill, starting with Snow White and Charming. The problem is Rumpelstiltskin has already protected the couple with magic. The plan goes sour when Edmund falls in love with Charlotte, Snow's handmaiden. Rumpel suggests hiding the girl in the land of untold stories, and the Count accepts. In Storybrooke, the evil queen shows Zelena the perks of the dark side. Soon after, Edmund reappears, and Regina confesses she once hired him to kill the Charmings. Too late. The queen controls the Count's heart and orders him to attack. At the docks, Regina is forced to fight him and ends up killing him. Exactly what the queen wanted to awaken the darkness that still exists within her. Meanwhile, Emma confesses to Archie that Regina isn't in her vision of death. And to top it off, the evil queen drops a bomb in David's lap. His father's death wasn't an accident. Ella becomes Cinderella after her stepsister throws her dress into the ashes. Amid the insults, she finds a key that opens portals to the land of untold stories. At the ball, she meets the prince, but her stepmother, Lady Tremaine, lies that he mocked her. Ella flees, leaves the slipper behind, and the story goes off the rails. Her stepsister Clorinda loves the prince's footman, and Tremaine discovers their escape plan. She shatters the glass slipper, stabs the young man, and drags her own daughter by force to the other world. In Storybrooke, Ashley, the modern Cinderella, shows up armed, ready to settle the score. Emma goes after her, but her hand trembling from the visions gets in the way, and the evil queen knocks her aside. Henry, guided by the book, helps his mom find the right trail. Ashley finds Clorinda, but it's a trap. Lady Tremaine emerges, and the confrontation nearly ends in blood. At the limit, with Henry's faith, Emma focuses her magic and saves Ashley. Amid the chaos, Emma asks Hook to move in with her, and Snow sets up a lab to combat the evil queen, who responds by freeing Mr. Hyde. The game is set. In the past, the Science Academy laughs at Dr. Jekyll's serum until Rumpelstiltskin shows up playing benefactor. The experiment works, and Mr. Hyde is born. With a little help from Rumple, Hyde blackmails the father of Mary, Jekyll's beloved, to secure a spot in the academy for his alter ego, but Mary falls for the bold version, Hyde. The next morning, Jekyll wakes up next to her, confesses the truth, and Mary, feeling deceived, tries to flee. In a fit of rage, it's the good Jekyll who pushes her out the window. Shocked at the monster he is, he drinks the serum and flees as Hyde. In Storybrooke, the evil queen and Hyde demand a mysterious necklace from Gold, who discovers he can't simply wipe them out. The solution seems to be Jekyll's serum. Gold protects Belle's ship and steals a drop of the serum and Jekyll's heart. In the ship, the twist happens. The real danger was always Jekyll. Obsessed, he attacks Belle, and Hook impales him with a harpoon. Jekyll dies, and Hyde vanishes along with him. Regina learns a dark lesson. To defeat her other half, she might have to die. In the end, Snow's new assistant at school reveals herself to be Jasmine, searching for Aladdin. In Agrabah, Jafar calls the shots. Jasmine recruits Aladdin to steal the diamond in the rough and save the kingdom. In the Cave of Wonders, they discover that the true diamond is Aladdin himself. Jafar appears with a bird that shows the future, Aladdin dying, and offers magic shears for him to sever his destiny as a savior. It's a trap. Jasmine falls into a sand pit and Aladdin saves her, embracing his role as a hero. But when he asks her to run away, she refuses, determined to defend the kingdom. In Storybrooke, Emma and Archie find the Oracle's body and arrest Shrin, who reveals she is Jasmine and drops the bombshell. Aladdin is a savior. The evil queen kidnaps the real Archie and, posing as him, pressures Emma to confess about her visions of death. The family panics, and Regina wonders if the hooded figure is her. With a tracking potion, Regina finds Aladdin. He is alive, but he cut his destiny with the shears, dooming Agrabah. He hands the shears to Emma, who asks Hook to throw them into the sea. As soon as she turns her back, the pirate lies and keeps the artifact. In the past, Hook is kidnapped onto Captain Nemo's Nautilus, who wants a partner in his journey of redemption. Together, they face a giant squid and find the key to the mysterious island. But everything goes wrong with the arrival of Liam. The half-brother Hook refuses to forgive. Liam wounds Nemo, and Hook flees back to his life of bitterness. In Storybrooke, all hell breaks loose. The evil queen sows discord, revealing to Henry that Hook kept the shears. The boy runs to throw the weapon into the sea, and the Nautilus resurfaces, capturing them both. On board, Hook finally confesses that he killed his own father. The truth brings stepfather and stepson closer, and they plan an escape. Henry goes back to save Hook, sealing for good the family they are building. Back on dry land, Nemo survives and forgives Liam. Hook comes clean with Emma, and she forgives him. But the evil queen already has the shears in hand and proposes her next move to Gold, ripping out Snow White's heart. In the past, the fugitive Snow White is betrayed and captured by a bounty hunter. On the other side, David is forced to sell his family's farm. The same hunter drugs him and uses his dog to trap Snow. David wakes up and follows the dog to the wagon where she is trapped. He tries to save her, and together, him on the outside, her on the inside, they defeat the villain. Without seeing each other, she restores his faith with all the money she had. Where their hands touch, a magic sapling sprouts, destined to seal monsters. Their destiny began there. In Storybrooke, the evil queen invades Snow's dreams, warning she wants her and David's hearts. Worse, she has a potion with water from the River of Lost Souls, ready to wipe out the town. The only hope is that magic sapling, but the villain gets there first, breaks the sapling, and issues the ultimatum: the hearts, or total destruction. At the cemetery, Snow and David surrender. The queen returns their hearts, but with a cruel upgrade to the sleeping curse. When one wakes, the other sleeps. They are together, but never at the same time. Storybrooke becomes a nightmare for Snow and David, who can only communicate via notes. They discover the evil queen is spying through all the mirrors, and Regina comes up with a plan to trap her in one, using Henry as bait. However, the villain, sharing Regina's memories, predicts everything, switches the mirrors, and traps Emma and Regina in the reflected dimension. To make matters worse, she takes Regina's place to manipulate Henry. Belle and Zelena team up to help Belle escape Gold. With Aladdin's help, the boy notices his mom is acting weird and tracks the two to the mirror. Inside, Emma and Regina find the dragon, also trapped. The queen rips out his heart, turns him into a beast, and orders Henry to kill him. But Henry turns the tables. He uses the magic hammer the villain gave him to smash the mirror, freeing his mothers. Hook blocks the final attack, and the queen vanishes. In the end, Gold and the queen unite with a new target, Zelena. In Rumpelstiltskin's castle, Belle catches her husband holding a baby. He vanishes, and she discovers the plan. The baby is bait to lure the Black Fairy, a kidnapper of children. The ambush works, and the truth explodes. The Black Fairy is Rumpel's mother, who abandoned him for power. Belle takes advantage of the chaos to rescue the child and return him to his parents, Jack and Jill. In the present, Gold proves he'll go to any lengths. He accelerates Belle's pregnancy to steal the baby. While Aladdin offers to become a genie and find Agrabah, Emma tries to stop Gold, but her vision of death paralyzes her. He corners Belle, who drops some truth. If he crosses the line, she's gone forever. He backs off, but the evil queen has already poisoned Belle's tea. Labor begins, and Gideon is born. Heartbroken, Belle gives her son to the Blue Fairy to take him far away. When Gold arrives, it's too late. He destroys the shop, and in the wreckage, Emma finds the sword from her vision. The sword from Emma's vision has a secret. When it cuts the evil queen's face, the scar appears on Regina herself, proof that the two Reginas are still connected. While the evil queen plots her next move, she uses Genie Aladdin for a fatal wish, that Emma had never been the savior. In the blink of an eye, Emma vanishes. Regina demands to be sent to the same place. David, in turn, uses the lamp and wishes for the queen to get what she deserves. Nothing happens, until the hooded figure from the visions emerges from a portal and turns the queen into a snake. The hood falls, revealing Gideon, now an adult, kidnapped and raised by the Black Fairy.
Hello, Father.
In the Wish Realm, Emma is a happy princess with no trauma. Regina, coming from another reality, tries to awaken the savior by pretending to be a villain and crushing her parents' hearts. It doesn't work. Only when Henry tries to kill Regina does Emma react, use magic, and recover her memories. They find a magic bean to return, but just as they are about to jump into the portal, Robin of Locksley appears alive. Regina hesitates for a second, and the portal closes. Trapped in the Wish Realm, Emma and Regina discover that this Robin is a selfish thief, quite different from the man Regina loved. They are arrested by the Sheriff of Nottingham and find out that this reality's Rumpel hates Regina for the death of his Belle. Even so, Robin decides to help them escape. Meanwhile, Emma reunites with Pinocchio, who reveals he was the boy who helped her off the streets. Inspired, he builds a portal for them. In a bizarre encounter, they run into an aged Hook who owns a bar, a shadow of the pirate they know. With the portal open, Regina decides to take a chance and bring Robin along. They jump back to Storybrooke. The return is bittersweet. Emma's vision comes true. Gideon reveals he needs to kill a savior to defeat his grandmother, the Black Fairy. He challenges her but disappears before the final blow. And to bring things full circle, August tells Emma that actually, he was always watching over her, guarding her steps from the beginning. Before the first curse, Ruth and Robert's twin sons are near death. Rumpelstiltskin offers the cure for David in exchange for James, who is given to King George. Years later, the father, Robert, tries to redeem himself and goes after James on Pleasure Island, guided by Pinocchio. They are captured, and the sentence is death. However, pirates intercept the escort for the gold, and the final blow that kills Robert is dealt by Captain Hook. In Storybrooke, David is haunted by visions of his father. Hook, who was about to propose to Emma, gets dragged into the investigation. August admits he ripped pages out of the book to hide the truth. David confronts George but discovers he only gave the order. He didn't execute it. In the end, Hook arrives in time to stop a tragedy. Meanwhile, the Wish Realm Robin doesn't fit in and tries to steal a heart. Regina realizes kissing him is like kissing paper. August hands the missing pages to Hook. Upon seeing Robert's face, the memory comes flooding back. He was the one who killed him. He hides the truth from Emma and and stares at the ring, feeling the abyss open beneath his feet. In the past, Beowulf prepares to face Grendel with the sword that will one day belong to Emma, but Rumpelstiltskin steals his glory. It was all a trap to frame the Dark One. At the climax, Balefire takes the dagger and on an impulse, commands his father to kill Beowulf. Rumpel obeys. To save his son from this memory, he wipes it away with a potion. In Storybrooke, Hook drowns in guilt, but swallows the truth and asks Emma to marry him. Gideon, now free, wants Emma's sword. Gold ties him up and tries to use the same memory potion, but Gideon sees through the trick, grabs the dagger, and forces Gold to admit that the blue fairy forged the sword. He goes after her and drains her magic. Amidst the chaos, Robin and Zelena try to flee the town. Regina finds them, realizes that this Robin will never be hers, and lets him go. The sisters make peace, but the evil queen, still in cobra form, fights Robin. The anti-magic potion he was about to use transforms him, and the queen is reborn, ready for the next round. The evil queen returns and uses Wish Realm Robin as a tool to find the Shears of Destiny. The plan is to cut the thread linking her to Regina and destroy everything. In a flashback, we see that Regina's own obsession with revenge prevented her from finding love with Robin Hood years earlier. Her worst enemy has always been herself. In the present, Hook tries to destroy the evidence that he killed Emma's father. She catches him in the act and, tired of secrets, calls off the engagement.
Then we can talk.
Devastated, Hook boards the Nautilus, determined to disappear, but it's a trap set by Gideon, who wants the pirate out of the way. The queen lures Regina in and cuts the thread uniting them, but instead of destroying her enemy, Regina does the unthinkable. She shares her light with the queen and absorbs part of her darkness. A balance is born. Henry writes a happy ending for this new queen, sending her to the Wish Realm. There, she walks into a bar and runs right into Robin, perhaps finally, at the right time. In Agrabah, the Sultan is desperate, wanting to force Jasmine to marry Jafar to save the kingdom. Amidst this chaos, Jasmine bumps into Ariel, who is hot on Eric's trail. The two fly off on the carpet looking for help but fall into a trap. Eric is just Jafar in disguise. He sends Ariel back to the sea, rips the jewel from Jasmine's ring, and in the blink of an eye makes all of Agrabah disappear. Meanwhile, Hook is trapped on the Nautilus. Gideon swiped his fuel to get home. In Storybrooke, Jasmine's ring simply sprouts in her pocket. The search for answers is interrupted by a kraken, and who shows up to save the day? Hook himself. His compass now points to those with a thirst for revenge, and the trio goes to hunt down Jafar on an island. There, they find Ariel with the villain bottled up just like a genie in a lamp. Jasmine accidentally frees the guy, who reveals the obvious. The kingdom is inside the ring. With some magic dust, Jasmine turns Jafar into a staff, kisses Aladdin, and breaks his genie curse. Agrabah returns to normal. Ariel gives Hook a shell that works like an interworld phone. He calls Emma and promises to return. In Storybrooke, Emma tells David that Hook killed his father. Their hug says it all. To get Emma out of her funk, Regina and Snow organize a girls' night out. At the bar, the owner, a guy named Aesop, offers a napkin for her tears. Back home, the shell rings. It's Hook, alive! But the joy is short-lived when a familiar voice reveals the con. Aesop is Gideon in disguise. He used Emma's tears to blackmail her. Either she kills the Black Fairy, or she'll never see Hook again. Gideon knocks on Emma's door with a poison proposal. Join him to defeat the Black Fairy, using Hook's return as bait. Suspicious, Emma goes with Snow to Gold's shop. Belle mediates, and an unlikely pact is sealed. Gold gives the warning, facing his mother as dancing with the abyss. At night, in the clock tower, Gideon opens a portal, but instead of Hook, a colossal spider leaps from the vortex. Emma gets trapped in the web, while Gideon, apologizing for the distraction, takes the sword and vanishes. Gold arrives at the last second to kill the monster. The portal reopens, and the Black Fairy finally steps foot in Storybrooke. A flashback shows Gideon's upbringing, a dark realm, enslaved children, and a friend, Roderick, crushed by the Black Fairy's heel just for daring to resist. She rips out her own grandson's heart and gives the order, kill the savior and bring the sword. And Hook, in another corner of the map, he's playing cards with Blackbeard for a magic bean. His ship is gone. They use the bean and fall into Neverland, where the lost boys have turned into tribal beasts. Blackbeard abandons Hook with the only boat and takes off. In Storybrooke, Regina and Henry fight against the sleeping curse, but the kid starts psychographically writing pages. like a possessed author. With Isaac's help, they get the message. They need to read the final chapter. The final battle approaches, and the star at the center of it all is Emma. In Neverland, Hook is surrounded by the Lost Boys, and things look grim, until a rain of darts takes everyone down. It's Tiger Lily who saves the pirate and knocks him out too. When he wakes up, he discovers she wants to help. She has a piece of a wand for the savior, and needs him to make the delivery. A former fairy, Tiger Lily knew the Black Fairy before she turned villain. The plan? Use the sap of a magic tree to summon his own shadow and ship the weapon to Emma, like a supernatural courier service. While Tiger Lily distracts the boys, Hook collects the sap, calls the shadow, and sends the package. The shadow reaches Emma, who uses a magic flower to open a portal and rescue her pirate. In a flashback, we discover that during the first curse, Snow used a flower to wake Charming. They remembered everything and saw little Emma through a portal. To ensure she would become the savior, they took a memory potion. In the present, the Black Fairy arrives imposing power, takes the dagger from Gold, and warns that he will join her of his own free will. To prove her point, she destroys a field of magic flowers, but Gideon leaves one behind. It's the key to breaking the sleeping curse. Snow sacrifices herself so Emma can save Hook. After the rescue, he proposes again, and she accepts.
What do you say? Will you marry me?
Regina has the final epiphany. Dilute the sleeping curse for the whole town to drink. It works. Snow and Charming wake up together, and Gold goes to confront the Black Fairy for controlling Gideon's heart. In Oz, a young Zelena suffers bullying but finds a friend in Stainham. Years later, he returns cursed by the Wicked Witch of the North, slowly turning into the Tin Man, and needs the Crimson Heart. Zelena, now the Wicked Witch of the West, sets off with him. Along the way, she scares a fearful lion. Yes, the origin of the Cowardly Lion. Upon finding the heart, the catch is revealed. It only works if it absorbs someone's magic. Zelena, paranoid, thinks Stainham is in cahoots with Dorothy and, overcome by greed, betrays him, keeps the heart for herself, and abandons him to turn into metal for good. In Storybrooke, the Black Fairy appears with baby Robin in her arms, inviting Zelena to her team, but gets a furious no. In the mines, the Black Fairy reveals her game. She was using Zelena's unstable magic to fuel crystals, draining her until she was powerless. Humiliated and kicked back to Oz by Regina, Zelena has a flash of courage. She uses the Crimson Heart to sacrifice all her magic and deactivate the crystals. The side effect is positive. A magic shard is restored, and Emma uses it to wake the Blue Fairy. With the plan crumbling, the Black Fairy finally admits to Gideon the reason for her banishment. She abandoned her own son. We go back to the beginning of everything. Fiona and Malcolm have a baby. The Blue Fairy and Tiger Lily announce that he is the new savior, but with a sinister prophecy, every savior must die fulfilling their destiny. Fiona refuses to accept this. She rips out Tiger Lily's heart, turns herself into a fairy, and tries to create a curse to banish all children who could become saviors. The prophecy points to a killer with a crescent moon scar, which appears on Fiona's own wrist. To escape fate, she uses the shears of destiny and cuts her son's thread. As punishment, she is banished to the Dark Realm. The baby returns to Malcolm, who, resentful, names him Rumpelstiltskin. In Storybrooke, Gold tries to wake the Blue Fairy, but it's a trap. The Black Fairy arrives with Gideon. While Snow and Regina find the other half of the wand at the diner, the villain appears, and Zelena runs her over, making her vanish for a moment. Gold takes Emma to the Dream Realm, where she discovers that he was once meant to be the savior. Back in reality, Gold lies. He says he banished his mother and returned Gideon's heart. The family reunites, everything seems resolved, until the final revelation. Gold is on the Black Fairy's side and plans to end Emma in the final battle. Emma and Hook's wedding is coming up, and Snow brings her dress, which the Black Fairy appears just to dye black. She demands Emma's heart and gives an ultimatum.
Mom, how are you still here? Did you really think you could turn my own son against me?
At 6 p.m., she will cast a curse of black fairy dust, exactly at the time of the I do. To understand the Savior's secret weapon, we go back in time. After Snow and Charming's wedding, a wish turns into a musical curse. The enchanted forest goes full Broadway. Snow and Charming sing about love, the evil queen about revenge, Hook against the crocodile, and Zelena about her superiority. Rumple, of course, declares that dark ones don't sing. The Blue Fairy explains, the music wasn't meant to defeat Regina, but to place that power inside Emma's heart for the future. In Storybrooke, the Black Fairy freezes everyone except Emma and Henry, trying to break her emotionally. Henry throws the book on the ground and reveals a new page. Emma's heart carries the power of the song. When the Black Fairy tries to crush it, she can't. With the villain retreating, the wedding takes place on a rooftop. But at the party, a dark storm covers the town. Emma faces the cloud and sends the message. No matter where they end up, they will win. In a distant future, a man hands his daughter Lucy the Once Upon a Time book with a warning: guard it with your life. Cut to Storybrooke, hours after the new curse. The town has been reset. Henry is the only one awake. Emma is in a mental institution, believing she has lived there for 2 years, and that fairy tales are delusions. Fiona, now the mayor and pretending to be Henry's mother, takes his book. Meanwhile, Snow, David, Hook, and Regina wake up in a parallel enchanted forest that only exists as long as Emma believes. Her faith wavers, and their world begins to vanish. Fiona wants Emma to burn the book to erase the realms for good. With Emma torn, Henry breaks her out of the hospital and takes her to the wedding rooftop, rekindling memories. But fear speaks louder. Desperate after Fiona pushes Henry down the stairs, Emma throws the book into the furnace, and all the realms begin to burn along with it. Fiona celebrates. Emma has lost faith, and the realms are unraveling. David and Hook fall from the beanstalk, and Regina barely has any magic. Snow finds David unconscious, and true love's kiss reignites hope. Henry tries to recruit Gold, who only wants to find Belle and decides to fight alone. At the height of the chaos, Emma returns, remembering everything. Savior mode activates, and the realms stop vanishing. Gold finds Belle, who reveals the whole truth about Fiona. The Black Fairy, in turn, shows her hand. She controls Gideon's heart and will use him to kill Emma, promising to resurrect Balefire. Gold refuses and kills his own mother, but she leaves a final command. Gideon attacks Emma. The final battle begins. Henry knocks Gideon out with a fire extinguisher, but the confrontation is inevitable. In a total sacrifice, Emma accepts death at Gideon's hands, and Henry brings her back with true love's kiss. Gold recovers his son's heart, who turns back into a baby, giving him and Belle a fresh start. The book writes itself. The final battle was won.
Faith was restored. The final battle was won.
Years later in Seattle, Lucy knocks on an adult Henry's door. "I'm your daughter. Your family needs you." After the happily ever after, Henry sets off to seek his own story, discovering that there are other versions of the heroes. Years later, he almost runs over a carriage and meets this world's Cinderella. She knocks him out, steals his motorcycle, and flees. Meanwhile, stepmother Tremaine clips the fairy godmother's wings and destroys her wand, proving that fear beats magic. At the ball, Cinderella wants to kill the prince for revenge. Henry tries to stop her, but Alice, acting on Rumpelstiltskin's orders, drugs him. Cinderella backs down, but Tremaine kills the prince and frames her. Henry helps her escape, and upon finding a glass slipper, decides to stay. Operation Glass Slipper is born. In Seattle, Henry is an Uber driver and a failed writer. Lucy appears claiming to be his daughter. Her mother is Jacinda, and her step-grandmother Victoria runs the neighborhood. At Ronnie's bar, Regina without her memories, Henry and Jacinda reunite, but Victoria kills the vibe. Jacinda tries to run away with Lucy, but her car breaks down. Rogers, Hook, and Weaver, Rumple, are the local cops. Rogers finds Lucy's book with a photo of Emma, which sparks something in him. In the end, Henry returns to writing, and Jacinda makes a wish that causes a hyacinth to sprout, just like the one Henry gave her years ago. Years ago, feeling small, Henry is hunted by Tremaine for the death of a prince. He activates a magic bottle and calls Emma, Regina, and Hook for help. Even so, he is captured. Regina and Hook save him, and in a tavern, run into the Hook from another world. This doppelganger knocks out our hero and makes a deal with Tremaine. He tricks Henry, but Emma emerges from a portal and drops a bombshell. She's pregnant. The imposter freaks out and flees. Confronted, he stabs himself, revealing he only wants to find his daughter. Emma's magic surprisingly heals him. Henry asks this Regina and this Hook to stay and seek their own happy endings. In Seattle, Rogers, this cursed alternate Hook, presses Henry about Emma Swan, and he evades the question. Victoria tries to stop Jacinda from seeing Lucy at the ballet, ordering Weaver and Rogers to frame Henry. Rogers refuses upon seeing a swan keychain and doesn't want to separate a father and daughter. At Ronnie's bar, Jacinda forgives Henry, and the two, along with Rogers, team up to take down Victoria Belfry. In the new enchanted forest, Cinderella joins Tiana's resistance to avenge her father's death. She leaves a slipper for Henry and confronts her stepmother alone. Tremaine shows a coffin containing her other daughter, Anastasia, and makes a macabre proposal. Steal Henry's heart, and her sister returns. Cinderella wavers, and Regina stops her, convincing her to choose forgiveness. In Seattle, Jacinda suffers away from Lucy, and Victoria wants to demolish the community garden. Ronnie suggests a petition. Victoria tries to buy Jacinda's silence with an apartment. Lucy is disappointed, and Jacinda fights back, leading the residents. The girl suspects there is something buried in the garden. During the excavation, she finds a piece of a glass slipper and gives it to Henry. He begins to doubt his skepticism until he visits the grave of his wife and son. The final revelation is heavy. Victoria was never cursed. She is Tremaine. She guards Anastasia's coffin, and she is pressuring a chained witch to create a spell to destroy Lucy's belief and revive her daughter. 1 year after the final battle, Gold, Belle, and Gideon live in peace, but the weight of the dagger won't let go of Rumple. Time passes. Gideon goes to college, and Rumple and Belle move to the Edge of Realms to live out their final days together. Belle grows old and before dying, asks him to let her go, promising a reunion when he rids himself of the dagger. His mission now is to find the Guardian. In Seattle, Weaver, Rumple, crosses paths with Tilly, Alice. Tilly confronts Victoria and due to blackmail is forced to take her pills. She stops the medication, talks about the masks everyone wears, and shoots Weaver to prove he is immortal. In the hospital, he almost reaches Belle in a vision and understands Tilly is the key to getting back to his love. The final bombshells. Weaver calls Victoria Derry, revealing he remembers everything, and to top off the confusion, Henry and Ivy end the night drinking together in a totally unexpected vibe. Tiana and her mother have lost their royalty. To save what remains, Tiana finds Dr. Facilier, who promises a prince in exchange for a favor. Following his clues, she is saved from an attack by a man named Robert. She takes him to the castle and shows him the Firefly Ruby, the family jewel. The ruby disappears. Tiana discovers that Robert made a pact with Facilier to save his beloved, who was turned into a frog. She faces the villain, but he wounds her with a voodoo doll. Even so, she hands the frog to Robert, who kisses it and turns into a frog too, to be with his love. In Seattle, Sabini and Jacinda open a beignet business that's a hit until a henchman of Victoria sets fire to the place. Their friendship cracks, but they make up with a food truck. Ronnie warns Henry to stay away from Ivy. Ivy discovers a secret room of Victoria's, calls Henry, but Ronnie deletes the message and goes in his place. There, they find a photo of Regina with young Henry, and Ronnie breaks down. Rogers investigates the disappearance of Eloise Gardner and finds a powerful rune. In the end, Ivy visits the witch in the dungeon. She is Drizella, she isn't cursed, and she is using Henry and Ronnie to destroy Victoria. Regina saves a hooded figure from vines. It's Drizella. Seeing potential and similar scars, Regina trains her, but the girl has her own plans. She lures a prince to face her mother and kills him, darkening her own heart so Tremaine can't steal it. With this, she gains the power to cast the new curse, which will wake Regina up in the future. In Seattle, the old photo of Ronnie and Henry becomes proof for Lucy. Ivy, alongside the witch, prepares a potion and pours it into Ronnie's drink. In one gulp, the memories return. Regina wakes up and comes face to face with Drizella. The villain reveals the blackmail. If Henry and Jacinda kiss, something terrible will happen to him. To protect her son, Regina lies, invents an adoption story, and watches him try to win Jacinda back with a boombox, 80s style. Meanwhile, Roger's search for Eloise turns dark. The suspect he arrested turns up dead in his cell. In the Wish Realm, Hook, in service of the evil queen, is sent to retrieve an item from a tower. There, he finds Rapunzel, who asks for a golden flower, and after a night together, reveals the trap. She is Gothel. Thanks to the flower, the pregnancy accelerated, and Alice is born. Gothel abandons the baby to be free. Hook hangs up his pirate hat and decides to raise his daughter in the tower. In Seattle, Rogers hunts for Eloise Gardner with the help of Henry and Tilly, cursed Alice. Victoria, suspicious of Ivy's visits to the witch, discovers it is her own daughter. Weaver warns Rogers about the investigation but is threatened to control him. Tilly lies that Eloise died, but Rogers insists and ends up freeing Gothel herself, thinking she is Eloise. Result, Victoria goes to jail for kidnapping. In prison, she faces Ivy, or rather Drizella, fully awake, and warns, "You have no idea what you've unleashed." Meanwhile, Ronnie sabotages Henry and Jacinda's romance on Drizella's orders. Regina and Hook test the poisoned heart curse on Alice, who swears a sorceress broke the spell, but when she tries to touch her father, Hook is thrown backward. The curse is very much alive. Alice flees to Wonderland, with Henry and Ella hot on her trail. Ella wants the truth about her mother, Cecilia, who disappeared in the past. There, she discovers that Cecilia died in battle and had the same curse that forced her to stay away from her family. Drizella appears to repeat the spell on Henry, but Ella and Alice throw her into a mirror. Cured of her resentment, Ella opens up to Henry, and they kiss for the first time. In Seattle, Jacinda seeks custody of Lucy and hires the lawyer Nick, who the curse makes look like the girl's biological father. Their dinner rekindles a romance, with Henry watching from afar. In a total David, Mary Margaret, and Catherine situation, Ronnie confronts Drizella and, seeing Anastasia's coffin empty, pressures Weaver, who pretends to be asleep. With no support, she decides to go to San Francisco, and Henry goes with her. Lady Tremaine's origin is tragic. As Rapunzel, she accepts a deal with Gothel to save her husband but gets trapped in a tower. Upon escaping, she finds her family restructured with a new wife, Cecilia. Jealousy consumes her until tragedy strikes. Her daughter Anastasia falls through the ice, and her husband saves only his stepdaughter Ella. To get revenge, Rapunzel traps Gothel in the tower. In Seattle, Victoria gets out of prison with the help of Weaver, who reveals he remembers everything. Free, she returns custody of Lucy to Jacinda, only to film a kiss between them and use the footage, along with the book, to destroy Lucy's belief. The girl's tear of disbelief at the hospital is the trigger that awakens Anastasia. In the same instant, Lucy collapses. Ivy, watching everything, is shattered seeing the result of her plan. Lucy's birth is interrupted by Drizella, who announces a new curse. 8 years later, Gothel unfreezes her and brings a coven of witches to save Henry, who has been poisoned. Regina is forced to cast the dark curse, scattering everyone to a place without magic. Before the chaos, Rumpel says goodbye to Alice and Hook. Robin and Alice kiss, and Hook sacrifices himself so Ella and Lucy can stay together. In Seattle, Lucy is in a coma. Henry's true love's kiss fails. Regina discovers the dilemma. Breaking the curse kills Henry. Keeping it kills Lucy. Anastasia wakes up. Drizella tries to steal her powers, but Gothel turns the tables and throws mother and daughter into a well. She reveals to Anastasia she is the chosen one, and the rest of the coven is already in Hyperion Heights. In the past, young Robin, Zelena's daughter, plays with magic and ends up teleported to Gothel's house, right in the middle of a ritual. Zelena teams up with Hook to rescue her, but her rebellious daughter refuses help. Gothel plans to sacrifice the girl, and Zelena offers herself in her place. That's when Robin grabs the bow, shoots the amulet out of the witch's hand, and saves her mother, trading the wand for the bow for good. In the present, Lucy is in a coma. Gothel tries to bargain with Zelena. She'll save Lucy if Zelena recovers the amulet from the past. The sisters find the piece, but Victoria steals it and hands it to Gothel. In the ritual, the victim was supposed to be Ivy, until Victoria throws herself in front of her daughter. Her sacrifice redeems her and wakes Lucy. When everything seems calm, a mysterious figure poisons the doctor who discovered Henry as Lucy's father, steals the test results, and cuts a lock of the girl's hair. Someone bigger is pulling the strings. Tiana is about to be crowned when Dr. Facilier appears with dark omens. She, Cinderella, and Hook investigate and find Naveen, who seeks revenge for his brother's death. A giant alligator attacks and swallows Naveen. Tiana uses his spear to kill the creature, leaving him on the brink of death. Facilier appears, heals Naveen, and as payment, takes a necklace that belonged to Regina. In the present, Henry starts a podcast to expose Victoria. Sabine runs into Drew, who works for Samdi, Facilier himself. Regina and Zelena realize Samdi isn't cursed. He asks Regina out, and they kiss. Lucy discovers that a kiss between Henry and Jacinda would kill her father and interrupts their romantic moment. Meanwhile, Weaver and Rogers investigate a death and discover someone is hunting witches. In the past, a young Alice has nightmares about Gothel. Her father, Hook, promises to end this and seeks Rumpel in prison, who sends him after an artifact in the hands of the pirate Ahad. Hook wins a duel, but upon returning to the tower, Gothel is already waiting. She banishes Hook far away and steals the artifact, leaving Alice in tears. In the present, Tilly is in a panic about Eloise Gardner, who is Gothel herself. Rogers and Weaver interrogate her, but she only speaks to Rogers and turns everything into a game. The witch killer's trail leads to the hospital where the blind baker turns up dead, and Tilly appears with a bloody scalpel in her hand. She tries to warn them and flees. Weaver insists she isn't the killer. In parallel, Ivy asks Henry for help finding Anastasia, and Lucy runs to Regina's bar with the page predicting her father's death. She realizes Regina is awake, and the two initiate Operation Hyacinth. In the tower, young Alice is dreaming of freedom, and out of nowhere, a troll appears to lend a hand with the escape. Years later, still searching for her father, she meets Robin, a newcomer to the new enchanted forest who is hunting the same troll, now a village destroyer. Alice, of course, decides to protect the creature. When Robin is about to finish the beast off, the girl throws herself in front of it. The locals are outraged, but Robin stands by Alice and, in a nostalgic nod that would make any fan smile, conjures Emma's yellow bug to get out of there. Back at the tower, the troll starts smashing everything, and Robin realizes the truth. The troll was born from Alice's desire for freedom. She confronts the creature, forgives it, and the beast turns to stone. The two leave together. In the present, things look bad for Tilly, the prime suspect in the baker's murder. Rogers and Henry try to find an alibi, but no one remembers seeing her around, and even Tilly starts to think she's guilty, until she is saved from being run over by Margot, who, lo and behold, is reading Alice in Wonderland. Yes, she is the Robin of this reality. Meanwhile, Regina and Lucy come up with a Mission Impossible level plan to break the curse without killing Henry. Regina sets up a date with Samdi to distract him, and Lucy breaks into his room looking for clues. Zoena catches her niece and panics. Lucy escapes, but Samdi finds her hat, confronts Regina, and drops a prophecy on the table. A new love awaits her if Regina lets him go after the dagger that Weaver guards, meaning if she lets him kill Rumple. In the very end, Tilly finds a camera that could clear her name, and Margot returns to town, unaware that her mother and aunt have already woken up from the curse. It starts with a cute past, Drizella and Anastasia as children, inseparable, thick as thieves. Years later, the fairy tale goes sour. Anastasia is in a coma, and Drizella is overflowing with hatred for her mother. That's when Gothel appears, disguised as Regina, offering a spot in the Coven of the Eight. The test seems like a piece of cake. Gather some golden flowers. Drizella pairs up with Gretel, and they even bond over complaining about their siblings, until Gothel reveals the catch. The test is a duel. 2 weapons, 1 survivor. Drizella hesitates, but Gretel doesn't. In a pinch, Drizella shoots first, and that's it. She takes the definitive step toward the dark side and secures her spot in the Coven. In the present, Ivy wants Anastasia's power at any cost. Gothel tries to recruit her again and warns her about a serial killer, the so-called Candy Killer, who is hunting witches. Ivy doesn't pay much mind, until she's attacked by the masked man himself. She escapes by a hair, and runs to Regina. Samdi shows up with a magical fix, a magic bean to solve the problem. The sisters' reunion turns into a trap. Ivy betrays Anastasia and imprisons her. Gothel invades, wakes Anastasia, and hypnotizes her to kill Ivy. But at the critical moment, their bond speaks louder. Ivy breaks the witch's control. The sisters unite, defeat Gothel, and finally make peace. Using Anastasia's magic, they open a portal and return home. Meanwhile, to prevent Jacinda from kissing Henry, Regina sets up a guys' night out with Rogers and Nick. At the end of the hangout, Nick is left alone with a flat tire, opens the trunk, and there are the boxes of chocolates and the mask. That's right, the Candy Killer was the nice guy friend all along. In the new enchanted forest, Henry is having an identity crisis. He, Ella, and Hook head out to slay a dragon. That actually took off weeks ago. Henry feels like a supporting character in his own story, too insecure to propose to Ella. Hook, in Cupid mode, invents a perfect adventure. Stealing treasure from Davy Jones's locker on Blackbeard's Jolly Roger, they break in, fight, win, and Henry's hero mode is reactivated, until he finds out it was all an act by Hook to boost his self-esteem. The problem is, the jewel is cursed, and a supernatural storm nearly sinks them both. They throw the treasure away and survive. Henry learns the lesson. He doesn't need a legend, just his own heart. He proposes to Ella, and she says yes. Cut to Seattle. Henry is packed and ready for New York, where he's going to become a podcaster. Jacinda supports him, even though the whole world thinks she should make him stay. At the same time, the Candy Killer keeps attacking. Weaver discovers the criminal is inspired by Henry's book and sees himself as the Hansel of the story, seeking revenge. Henry joins the investigation and notices a pattern. All the victims have scars. On the way to the airport, fate intervenes. A piece of the glass slipper punctures his tire. Nick appears offering a life-saving ride. Inside the car, Henry notices scars on his arm and puts the puzzle pieces together. Too late. Nick drugs and kidnaps him, revealing himself as the killer. In parallel, Margot meets Tilly, and the connection is instant. Later, Margot gives Zelena a heart-shaped box of chocolates. Zelena opens it and goes pale. She's next on the list. In Oz, Zelena stumbles upon a gingerbread house. Hansel and Gretel are mixed up in the story, and the gingerbread witch goes after her, seeking revenge for an old threat. Zelena gets the worst of it and passes out. She wakes up in a cabin with Evo, a blind and incredibly kind woodcutter. The children's Belle's father. Touched by his kindness, she decides to repay him, save the children, and cure the man's blindness. She returns, defeats the witch, and rips out her eyes, but discovers that Hansel and Gretel have already fled. When she returns, Ivo, now knowing who she is, sends her away. Hurt, she snaps, throws the eyes into the fireplace, and in the confusion, accidentally burns Hansel's arms. That is where the boy's hatred for witches is born. In Seattle, Zelena is in a panic over the candy killer and doesn't know how to tell her fiancé Chab the truth. She asks Weaver for help, and he returns her green necklace to remind her how to defeat Hansel. Meanwhile, Hansel, awake and posing as Nick, holds Henry hostage, trying to convince him that Regina is his mother. He even shows a DNA test proving Lucy is Henry's daughter, but the curse is strong, and it doesn't click. Using Henry's phone, Nick pretends Henry is already in New York. Rogers uncovers the ruse, goes into rescue mode, and Henry is finally reunited with Jacinda and Lucy. Hansel changes targets, kidnaps Chad, and forces a showdown. Zelena faces him, wins, but chooses to spare him. Chad finds out who she really is, and loves her anyway. In the end, the true master of manipulation reveals himself. Samdi visits Hansel in prison, confesses he was the one who woke him up to kill Gothel, calls the killer the Joker, and removes him from the deck using voodoo, causing a fatal heart attack. Checkmate. In the past, Rumpelstiltskin lives in endless mourning for Belle. Facilier appears with a tempting offer, the Dark One dagger, in exchange for a little chat with his deceased wife. Rumpel doesn't take the bait and defeats Facilier, but here's the warning. Belle wants him to find the Guardian, someone with a heart pure enough to take the dagger and free him from the darkness. If he fails, the dagger goes to Facilier. Rumpel's sights turn to Alice. He promises to break the curse on Hook's heart if she helps him. The test is cruel. Rip out Facilier's heart and crush it. Alice refuses, and that very attitude proves she is worthy. When it's time to transfer the power, Rumpel hears Belle's voice in the dagger. He realizes the burden he would be placing on Alice and backs down, letting her be happy with Robin. The Hook of this realm recognizes the sacrifice, sees the good in Rumpel, and offers his friendship. In the present, Weaver and Rogers find Nick dead. Weaver knows Samdi has a hand in it, but the dagger is missing. He asks Regina for help, without success. Samdi admits to the murder, but denies taking the dagger. Suspicious, Weaver steals magical ingredients from Regina and casts a tracking spell. The target leads him straight to Tilly. The voices in her head were the dagger all along. Tilly is the Guardian. Weaver recovers the weapon, but Regina discovers the theft and explodes in rage. That magic was meant to save Henry. Friendships go down the drain. Meanwhile, Henry retakes the paternity test. Positive, Lucy was right all along. And Nick's autopsy, it reveals he was stabbed from the inside. Something much more sinister is happening. We meet Gothel before she became the villain we know, a curious nymph, enchanted by humans trying on dresses. She uses magic to adorn them and is invited to the ball. Ignoring the advice of her mother, the leader of the nymphs, she goes. It's an ambush. At the party, Gothel is humiliated and treated like a freak, while humans massacre her village. Upon returning, she finds her dying mother, who asks her not to seek revenge. Too late. Gothel returns to the ball and unleashes deadly plants on everyone. Only one human, Seraphina, reveals she has magic and joins her. The final plot twist. All of this happened in the land without magic, thousands of years ago. The massacre was what turned our world into a place without magic. Gothel and Seraphina use a magic bean to leave, promising to return one day. Today, Gothel recruits her coven. She tells Tilly she is her mother, but the girl doesn't believe it. Rogers and Tilly investigate and fall into a trap at a theater. There, Gothel drops the bombshell that leaves everyone breathless. Rogers is Tilly's father. To save her dad, Tilly awakens her powers and gives in to the coven. In parallel, Lucy finds the glass slipper and gives it to Samdi, who casts a protection spell for Henry. With renewed courage, Henry kisses Jacinda, and nothing happens. True love's kiss fails. The curse remains strong. In the past, Regina is the classic helicopter mom, marking her son's height on the wall and dumping college catalogs in Henry's lap. He gets into all of them, but is living an identity crisis. Until the phone rings, it's adult Henry, unknowingly talking to his teenage self. He gives a clue about a secret box. Young Henry finds it, and inside, there is a magic bean, his passport to leave Storybrooke and live his own adventure. That is where he begins writing Once Upon a Time, the book with his family's stories. The author is born.
This is book 2. The Story of Us.
In the present, a sinister storm threatens Seattle. Gothel appears to Regina with the wicked offer to join the Coven to save her family. Regina refuses. Weaver tries to redeem himself and hands over a potion to wake Henry up, but it fails. Not even the book works. Henry is at his limit, thinking everything is a delusion. Then, Regina gets real. This is Storybrooke, under a new curse. When Henry finds his adoption papers, the phone number triggers something in his mind. The memories come back in full force. Across the neighborhood, the curse breaks in waves. Roger sees a witch turn into a tree and runs to Weaver, who confirms the madness. Elsewhere, Facilier captures Drew and uses voodoo to blackmail Jacinda and Tiana. With the main curse broken, the spell vanishes, and Tiana reunites with Naveen. At the climax, Gothel is about to defeat a magic-less Regina, until Henry arrives and kisses his mother's forehead. True love does the rest. Magic returns. Alice chooses love and turns Gothel into a tree. Amidst reunions, Weaver, now fully Rumple, realizes his dagger is missing. He confronts Facilier, who drops dead in front of him, murdered by the Wish Realm Rumpelstiltskin, the new owner of the dagger, ready to propose a deal. The curse has fallen, and Ronnie's bar has turned into the living room of a happy ending. While the gang celebrates, Regina looks for Facilier and finds Gold tied up, powerless. Facilier is gone, killed by the Wish Realm version, a Rumple with evil dialed up to the max. In the Mills apartment, Henry, Ella, and Lucy celebrate the birthdays they missed. When they blow out the candles, they simply vanish. Evil Rumple appears to Henry. He took the two of them to the Wish Realm and wants the dagger in exchange. The rescue team assembles. The only way through is Alice's mirror, which is cracked. A practically suicidal trip. Even so, Henry, Regina, Hook, and Gold jump into the portal.
One last grand adventure.
Elsewhere, Alice and Robin are on a date when she senses her father is in danger. Without a magical path, an urban miracle happens. A Seattle resident donates a magic beam. Using Tiana's food truck as an interdimensional Uber, they depart, with a strategic stop in Storybrooke. In the Wish Realm, the group splits up. Henry and Regina bump into an imprisoned Peter Pan. Hook and Gold go to Rumple's old house and find Ariel, who offers squid ink to paralyze the Dark One. Reunited at the castle, they see Ella and Lucy trapped in a snow globe that will freeze them at midnight. Evil Rumple reveals his true plan. He doesn't want the dagger. He wants the author's pen. Henry recovers it, but discovers the villain's accomplice is the Henry of that realm, a bitter and vengeful guy. With the pen, Evil Henry traps Henry, Gold, and Hook inside the globe, along with Ella and Lucy. Regina is left alone against two monsters.
Henry!
Alice and Robin arrive in Storybrooke and are greeted with suspicion and torches. Outsiders have caused enough pain around there. They flee and run into Zelena, the younger version of Robin's mother. The recognition breaks the tension, and she helps them find David and marry Margaret. In the Wish Realm, the heroes are trapped in the snow globe. Weaver confesses that evil Rumple stole his powers and, in a rare moment of vulnerability, calls Hook his only friend. Suddenly, Maui's fishhook appears in the snow. Hook begins to crack the glass from the inside, while Alice and Robin finalize the rescue from the outside. Regina comes face to face with the evil Sir Henry, who drags her into a duel of vengeance. In a dream, Robin Hood's spirit reminds her of the right path: love, not hate. Evil Rumple's plan is to use Henry's fury to trap everyone in books that are prisons of eternal torture. Regina drops her sword and says she would die to prove he is loved. The young man's wall of hatred collapses. The portals close. But victory comes at a price. Hook's heart has been poisoned. Weaver takes his final step of redemption. He rips out his own heart, which is purified by the sacrifice, and gives it to Hook. This destroys evil Rumple and finally allows our Gold to reunite with Belle in the afterlife. In the epilogue, Regina uses a piece of the heart of everyone she loves to unite all the realms in Storybrooke. Sometime later, she is crowned the Good Queen, leader of the now united worlds. Emma and the original Hook arrive with their daughter Hope to celebrate. Regina speaks about second chances as the camera pulls back, showing the new vast home of fairy tales. And so it ends, an expanded city, ready to welcome every happy ending.